Chapter 641 Top Set, Kunlun Set. Fire Beak, Ice Tail, Wind Wings, Thunder Claws. A large bird composed of elements descended from the sky with the sound of wind and thunder. Without any prelude, it rushed towards the undead army. The speed is almost comparable to when the Headless Knight uses the charge skill. A pair of thunder claws with lightning grabbed two Headless Knights respectively. The giant claws clenched tightly, and the armor on the Headless Knight made a cracking sound. It was not crushed as it had expected. As long as the damage fails to reach the point of instant kill the Headless Knight, all the damage will be borne by the undead army. It is not so easy to kill the Headless Knight. The Headless Knight kept fighting back in its claws, and the bone sword in his hand kept stabbing at the giant bird. Lin Moyu popped out a probing technique. This giant bird has obviously exceeded the limit of the copy. Under the soul induction, it should be around level 84. For any team, such a boss is difficult to deal with. However, Lin Moyu also knew that if he hadn't opened the 4 square platforms at the same time, and the 4 element channels were merged into one, this boss should not be so powerful. Kunlun Giant Eagle, World Class Leader. 470. Level, 82. Strength, 1,200,000. Agility, 1,600,000. Spirit, 1,200,000. Constitution, 1,400,000. Skill, Elemental Assault. Characteristics: Fire Element Immunity, Wind Element Immunity, Water Element Immunity, Electric Element Immunity. World Class Leader is already the most powerful title in the copy. Only the boss in large copies will be called World Class Leaders. Many people believe that World Class Leaders and World Class Boss are the same level of existence. It's just that the ones in the copy are called Leaders, and the ones in the wild are called Boss. The total amount of the two attributes is almost the same. That's because those people have never dealt with the world boss at all. Not to mention single killing the world boss. Just a smattering of knowledge. In Lin Moyu's eyes, the world boss is definitely stronger than those leaders in the copy. Even if they are of the same level, even if their attributes are similar. World boss have various body protection characteristics. Existences like the poisonous flood dragon are very troublesome just because of their own poison attributes. Relatively speaking, the leaders in the copy are much easier to deal with. Lin Moyu has killed so many world boss that he doesn't take the Kunlun Giant Eagle, which is only level 82, seriously. However, because it has been in a flying state, and its speed is extremely fast, it is not easy to hunt down. The 4-element immunity characteristic greatly reduces the power of the skeleton archmage's elemental riot. Only the soul shot of the skeleton marksman can cause some damage to it. But if you want to kill it, it will take a lot of time. Lin Mo didn't want to waste time. With a thought, he pointed his finger at the sky, and the sky immediately darkened. Dark clouds loomed, and a cold wind swept through. The exquisite skeleton throne emerged in the air. The god-level skeleton king, over 20 meters tall, slowly stood up from the throne. The god-level skeleton king, composed of 100,000 skeletons, possessed the battle power of a level 92 peak. When using skills, the explosive force could reach level 93. The appearance of the god-level skeleton king made the space creak. The Kunlun Giant Eagle, as the dungeon boss, appeared panicked and flew around in the air. The skeleton king waved his giant sword, slashing out a fierce sword light. Skill: Godslayer. With only the Kunlun Giant Eagle as its target, the Godslayer's sword unleashed its strongest power. The Kunlun Giant Eagle's cry came to an abrupt halt, and its massive body exploded in the sword light. One-hit kill. The Kunlun Giant Eagle didn't even have time to release its skills before being instantly killed. For Lin Mo, killing it was only a matter of time. It just depended on whether he wanted to play a little longer or was in a hurry. Now Lin Mo was in a hurry and didn't have time to play with it. Killed Kunlun Giant Eagle, experience plus ***. Obtained Kunlun's Flame Great Blade. Obtained Kunlun's Storm Battle Armor. Obtained Kunlun's Lightning Ring. Obtained Kunlun's Frost Bracelet. Kunlun's Flame Great Blade, one of the Kunlun set quasi-legendary weapon, all attributes plus 70000, Berserker skill amplification plus 140%, fire type skills additionally increased by 50%. Comes with skill, Blazing Sky. Blazing Sky. Attacks have a chance to trigger this skill, dealing fire elemental damage to enemies within 100 meters. Kunlun's Storm Battle Armor, one of the Kunlun set quasi-legendary armor, all attributes plus 4000, all damage reduced by 15%, wind element immunity increased by 40%. Kunlun's lightning ring, one of the Kunlun set quasi-legendary jewelry, all attributes plus 20000, adds lightning element attack to all attacks, with a certain chance to cause paralysis. Kunlun's frost bracelet, one of the Kunlun set quasi-legendary jewelry, all attributes plus 20000, immune to frozen status. The 4 pieces of equipment possessed different elements and different characteristics. The skill attached to the weapon was average, just passable. Looking at this weapon alone, it wasn't that great. But if these pieces of equipment were looked at together, it would be completely different. What the Kunlun Giant Eagle dropped was the Kunlun set. Although the individual attributes were average, if a complete set could be collected, it would be a game changer. The entire Kunlun set belonged to the top tier among quasi-legendary equipment. In the absence of legendary equipment, the Kunlun set could be considered the strongest. There were very few that could compare to it. The complete Kunlun set had 6 pieces, namely weapon, battle armor, ring, necklace, earrings, and bracelet. Moreover, the attributes of these 6 pieces of equipment were different. For example, weapons first needed to have the corresponding types for each class, such as the knight's sword, the archer's bow, the mage's staff, and so on. And they also needed corresponding attributes, amplification of corresponding elemental skills, and randomly appearing skills. Battle armor also had different attributes, different elemental bonuses, and adapted to different professions. In this way, there were almost endless combinations. If a fire mage could obtain a complete set of Kunlun equipment, and the attributes were unified. A complete set of fire-type staff, fire-type battle armor, ring, necklace, earrings, and bracelet. Then even if they were given a legendary piece of equipment, they probably wouldn't exchange it. It's just that collecting a complete set like this was too difficult. Among the top echelons of human race professionals, even god-level powerhouses might not be able to collect a complete set. Lin Mo had collected 4 pieces this time, with different attributes. Fire-type weapon, wind-type battle armor, lightning-type ring, water-type bracelet. Looking at it now, it was really a bit of a mess, unsystematic. This was still him. If other teams came to kill it, with only one key to open the middle passage, the Kunlun equipment that would eventually drop would only be 1 piece. With uncertain types and attributes, no one knew when they would be able to collect a complete set. A god-level powerhouse once said that a Kunlun set of the same attribute belonged to the Lifetime series. At that time, that god-level powerhouse was willing to take out his legendary weapon to exchange for a Kunlun set of the same attribute, but unfortunately, he couldn't get it. Lin Mo thought that he might be able to farm it a few more times. With his speed and ability, 4 pieces of Kunlun equipment each time, as long as he farmed it enough times, he might have a chance to collect a complete Kunlun set. The human race was too short of legendary equipment, with only a few pieces. As far as he knew, Meng Anwen's Divine Sha Pagoda belonged to the legendary level, while Bai Yiyuan's gauntlets and Yan Kuangsheng's saber were not legendary equipment, but top-quality quasi-legendary grade. The precious staff in Ning Tyron's hand also didn't seem to be legendary. Why legendary equipment was so scarce involved many issues. The most important thing was that the human race didn't have god-level blacksmiths and couldn't forge them. 1.8. However, like Meng Anwen, if he had enough materials, he could create legendary jewelry. Lin Mo had an idea to collect a complete set of Kunlun equipment for his teachers, which would definitely help their combat power. This thought flashed through his mind and was quickly suppressed. This matter is not urgent for the time being. Lin Mo once again turned his gaze to the Kunlun Divine Palace above his head. At the moment when the Kunlun Giant Eagle died, not only did he obtain equipment, but the formation blocking his progress also disappeared. The road behind the formation was completely revealed, and the Divine Palace above 1,000 meters clearly came into view. This meant that he was qualified to enter the Divine Palace. The dungeon really has a 4th segment. This is the real Kunlun Divine Palace dungeon. Lin Mo went up the mountain and walked towards the Kunlun Divine Palace at the peak. A strong wind blew, and the sound of wind chimes rang in his ears again. This time, Lin Mo was prepared, and his soul power contracted, unaffected by external objects. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal constantly rotated around the soul, also with vigilance. Guarding his mind, not disturbed by external things. Chapter 642 When You Can Master the Laws. The sound of the wind chimes was beautiful and melodious, constantly ringing in his ears. Even if Lin Mo closed off his hearing, it was useless, he could still hear it. The sound would directly enter the soul. This was the sound of law, and it could be heard without ears. Like the bloodiness in the a-primal secret realm, it directly reached the soul. Lin Mo could only resist with all his strength, not allowing himself to be affected by it. He had already been ambushed once last time. Although the other party had no malicious intent, that feeling of being out of control was really not good. At that time, Lin Mo's fighting spirit surged, and he only wanted to personally join the battle. If this kind of sound was placed in the army, it could greatly increase the army's combat power, making every soldier high-spirited. But if it was used on himself, it might make people lose their minds and even become puppets who only knew how to fight. Everything has two sides. Lin Mo was good at analysis and enjoyed analyzing. He would consider all aspects of the problem. It was precisely because of this that Lin Mo preferred to remain calm at all times. Since his debut, there were very few things that could make him panic. The closer he got to the Kunlun Divine Palace, the stronger the sound of the wind chimes became. However, Lin Mo knew that although this kind of wind chime sound carried the power of laws, as long as your will was firm enough, even a level 40 person could resist it. The owner of the wind chimes had no malice. 1,000 meters wasn't far for Lin Mo. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the summit. Standing at the peak, he could see the Kunlun shrine even more clearly. This was a large palace with a diameter of over 1,000 meters, and the exquisite carvings outside the palace could be seen from afar. The wind and snow became the best cleaners, sweeping the palace exceptionally clean, without a speck of dust. Only one corner of the entire palace was connected to the mountain peak, with 99% of it suspended in the air, like an aerial shrine. Lin Mo walked over with curiosity. On the gate of the shrine hung a plaque with the words, Kunlun, written on it. It was in the script of the Divine Xia Empire. When Lin Mo saw the words, Kunlun, he was certain that this was a product of the current era. The script was the best evidence. Lin Mo looked at the two words, feeling the aura on them. Even after a long time, the aura on it was still strong. The words contain a strong divine aura. This is a powerful god. Much stronger than the god of thunder and lightning, should be a high god. According to records, there were many high gods a long time ago, but later they all disappeared for some reason. There weren't many high gods recorded. The god of bloodshed, the god of life were among them. There were even more gods not in the records. Like the god of the starry sky, who wasn't in the records, but Lin Mo guessed that the god of the starry sky shouldn't be weak either, judging from the meteorites that had been falling continuously for countless years on the meteorite continent. The god of bloodshed had disappeared, even his weapon was gone, he had undoubtedly fallen. The same was true for the god of life, even its weapon had triggered a world-destroying war. Now the owner of the Kunlun shrine should also be a high god. The wind chimes were the best evidence. The power of law couldn't be faked. What exactly happened at that time? I really want to figure it out. This question had been bothering Lin Mo for days. Lin Mo didn't hesitate and walked towards the gate. He wasn't afraid, nor was he worried. Worrying and being afraid were useless. Now he only had two choices. One was to enter the Kunlun shrine, and the other was to leave. Having already come this far, how could he be willing to just leave? With Antares's dragon scales in hand, he believed that there were not many places in this world that could trap him to death. At worst, he would activate the dragon scales and escape. The gate of the shrine opened automatically, as if welcoming guests, and ushered him in. The palace was even more spacious than it looked from the outside. After entering the palace, there was a huge garden with many trees planted. These trees swayed in the wind and snow. But strangely, no matter how heavy the snow was, it wouldn't leave any traces on them. Every corner of the palace was exceptionally clean. The layout of the garden was very regular, clean and beautiful. This is a god who loves cleanliness, even has a cleanliness obsession. At the same time, this god is very likely to be a woman. The sound of wind chimes was even louder here. A gust of wind blew, jingling non-stop. Wind chimes. Lin Mo saw wind chimes hanging everywhere in the garden. Whether on trees or in various corners. The key was that the sounds of these wind chimes were connected together without appearing chaotic at all. It was just that the sound of the wind chimes now was the purest sound of wind chimes, without the power of law that reached the soul. Lin Mo was even more convinced of his guess. This should be a female god, and also a female god who was clean and liked wind chimes. Just as he was thinking, a light shone over, turning the entire garden into a beautiful scene. In the light, a man in a long robe was slowly walking over. Lin Mo was stunned, he had guessed wrong. It was actually a man. Lin Mo could see that the man wasn't his real body, but was made up of elements. But he was a god without a doubt, exuding the unique aura of a god. "Hello, human 5-star divine general." The god was very polite to Lin Mo. He revealed Lin Mo's identity as a 5-star divine general in one go, which surprised Lin Mo a bit. He didn't wear his military badge on his shoulder, how did the other party know? The god continued, "Don't be surprised, I have fought alongside many 5-star divine generals of your human race, and I understand the aura of 5-star divine generals very well. Let me introduce myself, my name is Kunlun, and I am the great god of the Kunlun Mountains." Lin Mo was really shocked this time. He looked at him in surprise, he was actually a great god. A great god was a level higher than a high god, equivalent to a human half-step transcendent. He didn't expect that there was such an existence in the Kunlun shrine, he had underestimated him. Lin Mo didn't doubt the other party's identity and said, "Human, 5-star divine general, Lin Mo, greets great god Kunlun." He suddenly made a gesture of invitation, "My main body is still sleeping, and there is nothing to entertain you here, so I will take you to browse the shrine, please don't mind." How could Lin Mo mind? He had many questions he wanted to ask great god Kunlun. "Your main body is sleeping, what does it have to do with me, as long as you can talk?" But Lin Mo didn't speak directly, the two of them weren't familiar yet, and the key was that he hadn't figured out the other party's temper. It wouldn't be good to speak rashly. Great god Kunlun led Lin Mo towards the interior of the shrine, "Your strength is beyond my expectations." Lin Mo replied very modestly, "My strength is nothing." Great god Kunlun shook his head, "No, even if you were placed in those years, you would be one of the most outstanding." Lin Mo thought about which year he was talking about when he said those years. He estimated that it would be a long time ago. At least 1,000 years. Maybe those years were buried by time. Great god Kunlun continued, "In our era, geniuses emerged in large numbers. As long as you weren't an idiot, you could become a top-tier professional. If you had a slightly better aptitude, you could become a god level. From job change to god level, the fastest only took 1 or 2 years." Lin Mo listened as if he was listening to a fairy tale. From job change to god level, it only took 1 or 2 years. Was this a joke? How can it be so fast? Lin Mo couldn't believe it. Great god Kunlun smiled, "There was a price to pay for that, we paid too much, and this world paid too much. The price was so high that it was almost unbearable. But we couldn't not pay it." Lin Mo listened silently. This kind of price was probably very terrifying and unimaginable. Great god Kunlun suddenly stopped, looked at the snow falling in the sky, and sighed for a long time, but it was all worth it. A breeze blew, and the melodious sound of wind chimes rang again. Great god Kunlun smiled, "Isn't it nice to hear?" Lin Mo nodded, "A very beautiful piece of music." He told the truth, very sincerely. Great god Kunlun also agreed with Lin Mo's words, "It is indeed very beautiful, I have listened to it for so many years, and I have not gotten tired of it." "Did you just think that I should be a woman?" Lin Mo's mouth twitched slightly, but he didn't respond. He couldn't respond to that, or he might offend someone. Kunlun great god said, "It's okay, everyone would think so. The garden was arranged by my wife, and the wind chimes were hung by her. She liked wind chimes, she really liked them. It's a pity, she can't hear them anymore." Saying this, Kunlun great god sighed again. Lin Mo thought for a moment, and asked cautiously, "The great battle back then was very cruel, right?" Kunlun great god turned to look at Lin Mo. "Looked for a moment, it seems you know something. I know you have many questions, including the formation in the Kunlun Mountains. Don't doubt it, I noticed you from the first day you entered the dungeon. I even saw you killing the Kunlun snow god. However, I still can't tell you now." Lin Mo asked, "Is it because I'm too weak?" Kunlun great god nodded, "You have good talent, but not strong enough." "Then when will I be qualified to know?" "Wait until you can control a law." Lin Mo was awe-stricken and slowly uttered 4 words, "Half-step transcendent god." Chapter 643. Hard to say, depends on the situation. Everyone has a different perspective, and sees a different world. When Lin Mo had just changed jobs, being able to reach the 3rd tier was the ultimate goal. After meeting Bai Yuan, he realized that the god tier level was the goal. Now, he needs to control the laws and become a half-step transcendent god to be qualified to know the ancient secrets. For most professionals, stepping into the god tier level is already unattainable, and half-step transcendent god is unthinkable. But for Lin Mo Yu, half-step transcendent god is not enough, far from enough. The old man who was suspected to be Lao Tzu hoped that Lin Mo Yu could become the leader of this era. What is a leader of the era? Even becoming a transcendent god may not be enough, so what is a half-step transcendent god? It can only be said that the Kunlun great god in front of him is not even a tiny bit as good in terms of pattern as the old man in the origin secret realm. Is half-step transcendent god enough to be qualified? Lin Mo Yu said softly. These words made Kunlun great god frown. His expression was always gentle, but now he felt that Lin Mo Yu was more or less arrogant. Kunlun great god did not refute Lin Mo Yu, but his tone was slightly lower. Controlling laws is very difficult, don't think of it too simply. Even in our time, when laws were manifested, very few people could control them. Lin Mo Yu naturally knew that it was not easy to control laws, but he had confidence, I will achieve it. Kunlun great god looked at Lin Mo Yu thoughtfully. In his eyes, Lin Mo Yu was somewhat arrogant and ignorant. If half-step transcendent god was so easy, why has only one half-step transcendent god appeared in the human world in the past 100 years? Moreover, there have only been a few half-step transcendent gods in history, and there have occasionally been gaps. Kunlun great god's memory was boiling. Even in his time, there were not many half-step transcendent gods. He slowly opened his mouth. Having confidence is a good thing, but don't be arrogant. Lin Mo Yu nodded, I understand. Lin Mo Yu's attitude was neither humble nor arrogant. Having seen too many powerful existences, a great god was worthy of his respect, but he didn't need to be too flattering. What's more, it was just a great god whose main body was asleep, and it was not known when he would wake up. His mentality had changed unknowingly. Kunlun great god didn't say anything more and changed the subject. You passed the final assessment of the dungeon, I want you to help me with something. Lin Mo Yu knew that the main event was coming. Tell me, what can I do? Lin Mo Yu didn't directly agree. He wanted to hear what it was before deciding whether to agree. In case it was something dangerous, Lin Mo Yu would definitely refuse. Kunlun great god said in a deep voice, before I talk about the matter, I want to ask, can I trust you? Lin Mo Yu told the truth, hard to say, depends on the situation. For example, if what you want me to do is very dangerous and may endanger my life. It is also possible that what you want me to do may harm the human race. Lin Mo Yu listed two possibilities. The former was okay, Lin Mo Yu would just refuse. In the latter case, Lin Mo Yu would not only refuse, but might also do something excessive. Kunlun great god's main body was asleep, and it was hard to say how much divine power this elemental body could exert. In fact, Kunlun great god took a risk by bringing Lin Mo Yu into the Kunlun divine palace. If Lin Mo Yu had any malice, it was hard to say what would happen. Lin Mo Yu's combat power was not bad, he had slaughtered gods in many god-level powerhouses. The 5-star divine general was not fake. Similarly, Lin Mo Yu was also taking a risk by entering the Kunlun divine palace. What if Kunlun great god had any malice towards him? After all, this was a great god. Of course, Lin Mo Yu never fought unprepared battles. With Antares' dragon scales in hand, he believed that safety was not a problem. In the end, both were gambling. In essence, the two had already established the most basic trust. Lin Mo Yu's tone was sincere, and Kunlun great god could understand. The more this was the case, the more relieved he was. If Lin Mo Yu agreed readily, he would be a little worried instead. He showed a slight smile. Don't worry, what I want you to do will not harm the human race. After all, I was once your human comrade in arms, a friend in life and death. He said the 4 words, friend in life and death, very heavily, with a stern look in his eyes, as if he was reminiscing about the old days. Then he continued, as for danger, it may be a dead end for others, but with your combat power, it's just a little trouble at most. He knew very well what kind of combat power Lin Mo Yu had. He could counterattack and slaughter gods, a 5-star war general. Although Lin Mo Yu was only level 74, combat power sometimes could not be judged by level. A character like Lin Mo Yu was called a monster in their time, an existence more talented than a chosen one. I want to hear the specifics. Lin Mo Yu said straightforwardly. Kunlun great god didn't continue to beat around the bush. I hope you can go to the lower level of the ancient battlefield, below the savage continent, and help me retrieve something. Lin Mo Yu asked. Azure Dragon Sea. Kunlun Great God nodded. That's right. What do you want to retrieve? My wife's divine spark. Lin Mo Yu looked at Kunlun Great God. Is your wife's divine spark at the bottom of the Azure Dragon Sea? Kunlun Great God smiled bitterly. Back then, she fought bravely to the death, and her divine spark fell into the Azure Dragon Sea and sank to the bottom of the sea. Retrieving her divine spark is what I have always wanted to do. Unfortunately, this matter is too difficult, even an 89th level half-step god cannot do it. I have waited so many years, and finally waited for you. Kunlun Great God's tone was somewhat sorrowful, and his eyes were even more so. His sadness was difficult to suppress. Lin Mo Yu could feel the voice from his soul, very sincere, and he was not lying. Kunlun Great God continued, my wife and I are different from other gods. We did not become gods naturally, but became gods by chance. Before becoming gods, we were also human. Lin Mo Yu was shocked. Kunlun Great God actually said that he was human before becoming a god. No wonder he said that he fought alongside the human race back then. Maybe this was one of the reasons. Kunlun Great God had not finished speaking. He was like an old man at the moment, wanting to pour out his heart. Perhaps the god of life also died in battle. If she were still here, perhaps my wife would have a chance to be resurrected. Although I cannot resurrect my wife, retrieving her godhead is what I, as her husband, should do. This is the only thing I can do for her. Memories mixed with sorrow, painting the entire Kunlun Divine Palace with grief. The sound of wind chimes drifted, playing a sad melody. Lin Mo said in a deep voice, diaresis the sea is vast. Finding a godhead is like searching for a needle in a haystack, it won't be easy. The Kunlun god slowly extended his hand, and all the wind chimes vibrated together. Then Lin Mo saw a huge and exquisite wind chime falling from the sky. The wind chime carried the aura of a god, and at the same time, laws permeated it. When the wind chime first appeared, it was as large as a bronze bell, but when it finally landed in the hands of the Kunlun god, it was only the size of a fist. Lin Mo recognized that this was exactly the wind chime hanging outside the Kunlun Divine Palace. The Kunlun god looked at the wind chime, his eyes full of memories. This is my wife's natal weapon. Take it with you. If the distance to the godhead is less than 100 kilometers, it will sense it. Lin Mo took the wind chime from the Kunlun Goda's hand, and then a detection spell landed on the wind chime. A holy sound wind chime. Mythical weapon, weapon of the god of holy sound. Possessing a mythical weapon, the weapon contains the power of laws. This god of holy sound, the Kunlun Goda's wife, was also a high-level god. As for whether she was level 96 or 98, Lin Mo did not know. But high-level gods were definitely very strong, at least their power of laws was something he could not contend with right now. Such a god had also fallen. In that disaster, the gods fell. No one knows exactly what happened. Lin Mo held the holy sound wind chime, he could not use this weapon. To him, it was just a sturdy and exquisite ordinary wind chime. I can help you with this matter, but everything is about reciprocity. What is the reward? The Kunlun god said, you obtained a Kunlun snow grass in the beginner level dungeon, right? A Kunlun snow grass. Extra reward from the Kunlun Divine Palace beginner dungeon, can increase 1 level when used below level 80. Can increase 2 levels when used below level 70. Can increase 3 levels when used below level 60. Kunlun snow grass could directly increase levels, its effect was extraordinary. When he first obtained the Kunlun snow grass, he was astonished, never imagining there would be such a magical thing in the world. Now his vision and experience were different. Looking back, he knew that the Kunlun snow grass contained a huge amount of soul power. It was the soul power that increased the level. After obtaining it, Lin Mo had never used it. Increasing levels was not very useful to him. He only needed to spend some time to level up, it was not difficult, and he did not need to rely on external objects. The Kunlun god pointed to a flower garden in the distance. That is your reward. Chapter 644. This time, no leveling, just farming equipment. In the flower garden, Kunlun snow grasses were planted, countless, as many as 10,000. Each one was full of vitality, and within the vitality was a familiar aura. These vitalities came from the power of life, and the power of life came from the formations outside the dungeon, from a large number of human race professionals who came to the Kunlun Mountains. The Kunlun god pointed casually, and a formation appeared outside the flower garden. Strands of life force came from the void and entered the formation, converted by the power of laws in the formation, removing the dross, leaving only the essence, and finally poured into the flower garden, becoming the nourishment for the snow grass. So the life force came here. Only then did Lin Mo realize that he had been wrong before. The life force absorbed by the formations was not taken away by the Kunlun god. Instead, it came here and became the nourishment for the Kunlun snow grass. The Kunlun god said, you must have thought that those life forces were absorbed by me, right? Lin Mo frankly admitted, that's right. I also judged from the absorbed life force that there should be a god sleeping. The Kunlun god smiled, your judgment is correct, my main body is indeed sleeping, and has been sleeping for a long time. I don't even know when I will wake up. These life forces are not very useful to me. And what you see is just the tip of the iceberg. Not only the formations on the outer Kunlun peaks, but the entire Kunlun mountains are covered with a large number of formations. What is absorbed is not only the life force of the professionals, but also the life force of all living beings in the Kunlun mountains, including plants, is constantly being absorbed. However, this level of absorption will not cause any damage to them. Lin Mo understood this principle. Such a small amount of life force, even if it wasn't absorbed by the formation, would dissipate silently in the end. The formation simply gathered these excess life forces and used them to plant Kunlun snow grass. In the flower garden, the Kunlun snow grasses were of different heights and sizes. Among them, there was a particularly thick one, obviously more than 3 times taller than the other Kunlun snow grasses, and could be called the king of the snow grasses. Lin Mo asked, is the Kunlun snow grass useful to you? The Kunlun god shook his head, useless, the Kunlun snow grass is not prepared for us. The meaning was self-evident, since it wasn't prepared for the gods, then it was prepared for the human race. But among the human race, no one had ever heard of anyone obtaining the Kunlun snow grass, and Lin Mo was the first to obtain it. The Kunlun god explained, these things were very useful in the past, and may be useful in the future, but I hope I never need to use them. This snow grass king, 1 in 10,000 miles, is my reward to you. If you can retrieve my wife's godhead, I will exchange it for the snow grass king. Lin Mo asked, what is the use of the snow grass king? He didn't use detection to check. First, it would be impolite in front of the Kunlun god. Second, there was a formation covering the outside of the flower garden, and Lin Mo wasn't sure if detection would be useful. The Kunlun god said, if you want to break through to half-step transcendent god in the future, the snow grass king will be of great use. Besides that, the snow grass king has another use, I will tell you after you bring back the godhead. Lin Mo thought for a few seconds and made a decision. Okay. In the end, Lin Mo agreed to the Kunlun goda's request. Saying it was a request was actually a transaction. It was just that the Kunlun goda's attitude was that of someone asking for help, and he was very polite to Lin Mo. Otherwise, with his status, which was higher than Lin Mo, he wouldn't need to be like this at all. After Lin Mo left the dungeon, the Kunlun divine palace re-emerged in the wind and snow. The strong wind howled, and the Kunlun god stood in the garden, muttering, after waiting for so many years, I finally waited for one. I hope he can succeed. Yina, I miss you so much. His voice was eventually covered by the wind and snow, and disappeared. Outside the dungeon, there was no one, except for the howling wind, it was extremely quiet. Kunlun Divine Palace, high-level dungeon, located on the peak of Kunlun in the eyes of most people. But Lin Mo knew that this was far from the peak. The real peak was in the dungeon, thousands of meters higher. The place where the Kunlun Divine Palace was located was the peak. And it could be imagined that the former Kunlun Divine Palace must not have been on the ground, it should have been floating in the air. Because of the Kunlun goda's slumber, it came down. The feeling of entering the Kunlun Divine Palace just now was still there. Thinking about it carefully, he realized that the Kunlun Divine Palace itself was a great weapon, very powerful. He was also bold enough. If the Kunlun god really had malicious intentions towards him, the trouble would not be small. Lin Mo Dignity immediately set off for the ancient battlefield. There was no rush. He and the Kunlun god Dignity agree on a time. They had already waited for so many years, and they did not care about waiting a little longer. Lin Mo planned to first farm instances. Although the experience gained from them wasn't much, they provided a large amount of equipment. This equipment was useless to him, but extremely useful to the entire human race. Meng Anwen and Bai Yiyuan both came from the military, and they controlled most of the armies within the Divine Sha Empire. With so many people and top-tier professionals under their command, they were also in dire need of a large number of quasi-legendary equipment. What's more, there was the Kunlun set, and Lin Mo wanted to get a set for Meng Anwen and the others. If there was anyone in the world most likely to collect a complete set of Kunlun equipment with the same attributes, Lin Mo knew it would be himself. After resetting the instance cooldown, Lin Mo teleported into the instance again. The moment he entered, he was met with fierce attacks. The rules of the instance hadn't changed, remaining the same as before. 4 elemental fortresses and a large number of monsters above level 75 would launch a fierce assault on anyone entering. This was the first wave of attack, and if one couldn't withstand it, there was no point in continuing. Many professionals died in this first wave. It wasn't a game, but true death. Their bodies remained in the instance forever. Among the human race, deaths in instances happened every day. But few were as cruel as the high-level Kunlun Divine Palace instance. To gain, one must pay the price. While people attacked instances to gain experience and equipment, some instances eliminated unqualified professionals. Statistics showed that the higher the instance level, the higher the difficulty, and the death rate increased accordingly. Conversely, the lower-level instances were relatively safe. Lin Mo withstood the attacks as his undead legion emerged. They quickly cleared the surrounding monsters, then shattered the shields of the 4 elemental fortresses, and killed the commanders within. When he encountered the array light sphere in the second stage, Lin Mo didn't give it a chance to evolve into a snowman of light, directly summoning the Skeleton King to kill it with a single strike. Then he opened the 4 passages, entering the third stage. Lin Mo was always used to challenging enemies above his level, having confronted gods before reaching level 70. Instances of his level were no challenge at all. Letting the undead legion eliminate the monsters, Lin Mo alone followed the mountain path to the end of the third stage. This time, there was no array to obstruct him, and the end of the third stage truly became the end of the instance. Lin Mo pressed against an invisible wall, feeling the power of the laws. Looking up, he saw nothingness, and no Kunlun Divine Palace. He knew this was normal, the way most professionals saw the instance. Accompanied by elemental roars, the Kunlun giant eagle descended from the sky. But it was greeted by the bone giant sword of the Kunlun king. Lin Mo didn't lift a finger from beginning to end, and the undead legion and skeleton king easily cleared the instance. After eliminating the Kunlun giant eagle this time, the instance exit appeared. Lin Mo didn't hesitate, quickly passing through the exit to leave. The next second, he returned to the instance, continuing. Again and again, Lin Mo repeatedly farmed the instance. Each time taking less than half an hour. Since the appearance of the Kunlun Divine Palace instance, no one had ever farmed it like Lin Mo. Each time he harvested dozens of quasi-legendary equipment, plus 4 Kunlun sets. If it were anyone else, they would definitely shout, "I'm rich." Lin Mo felt nothing about this, just farming the instance over and over again. In his storage space, all kinds of equipment rapidly increased. In just half a day, Lin Mo had farmed it a full 20 times. The quasi-legendary equipment he gained exceeded 800 pieces. Lin Mo was really worried that if he continued farming like this, the instance would be emptied. Equipment couldn't appear out of nowhere, there had to be a source. But all over the world, various instances produced equipment. What was the source of the equipment? Lin Mo couldn't figure it out. He had asked Antares, who answered, "You are not qualified to know." Antares clearly knew something, but refused to tell him. As for the old man who seemed to be lousy, he didn't even dare to ask. Another huge mystery, waiting for him to solve it himself in the future. Chapter 645, How did you become a 5-star god general? When Lin Mo finished farming the instance for the 20th time, his storage space was officially full. Besides his own things, the storage space was full of equipment and materials. He had a full 80 Kunlun sets. As for whether he could assemble complete sets with the same attributes, Lin Mo was only focused on farming and didn't bother to check. With no other choice, Lin Mo had to give up the idea of continuing to farm and prepared to return first. At this moment, the instance vortex lit up, and waves of spatial fluctuations transmitted out. A group of people teleported out from inside. Their clothing was uniform, exactly the same as the group Lin Mo had seen when he was climbing the mountain earlier. Lin Mo guessed that this group of people should be from the military. Their actions were too coordinated, and they exuded a unique aura. Even the teams from the Garin Guild couldn't achieve such a thing. After this group came out, they froze for 2 seconds, before their vision recovered. Upon seeing Lin Mo, they suddenly became alert. Their actions were swift, forming a combat formation. As a result, Lin Mo was even more certain of his guess. These people were really from the military. Other things could be faked, but this kind of instinctive emergency response couldn't be faked. Lin Mo smiled, indicating that they didn't need to be nervous. He had no malicious intent. The leader strode forward, coming to Lin Mo in 2 or 3 steps, and asked in a deep voice, "May I ask, are you God General Lin?" Lin Mo smiled and took out his military badge, wearing it. The military badge shone with a dazzling purple light, and the 5 stars on it were even more eye-catching. After seeing it clearly, the man was greatly startled, his expression exaggerated, and losing his composure, he exclaimed loudly, "5-star God General." Just then, a gust of wind blew, and the biting wind with its astonishing chill poured into his mouth, causing him to cough non-stop. He endured the cough and saluted Lin Mo, "Greetings, God General Lin." Lin Mo smiled, "No need to be like that, I'm just a nominal God General, I don't have a position in the military." "Are you the Instance Exploration Team from the military?" The man shouted loudly, "We are the Divine Sha Empire Army, 8th Military Region, Instance Exploration Team, 3rd Squad. I am the captain, Chi Tizu." Lin Mo smiled, "Well, you guys are good, how's the harvest this time?" The man hesitated, reporting to God General, "I can't say." The military had its rules, and many things couldn't be said without permission. Although Lin Mo was a 5-star God General, he was only nominal after all. His status was indeed high, but he also had no real position, no real power. Lin Mo said, "All right, be careful, if you have the ability, you can try opening a few more passages. That way there will be more monsters, but the harvest can also be doubled." Chi Tizu said, "But opening 2 passages is too dangerous." Lin Mo's gaze swept over everyone. These people not only had unified actions, but their aura was also very unified. They were all level 80 professionals. People from the military had even better combat coordination, needless to say. Swept by Lin Mo's gaze, each one of them straightened their bodies, bursting out with their strongest spirit. This is a 5-star general after all. A truly important figure. Lin Mo was also extremely satisfied with them, even though they were already level 80, becoming top professionals, but none of them were arrogant. Lin Mo said, "I think, as long as you cooperate tacitly, opening 2 channels at the same time should be no problem." Chi Tizu said, "Our levels are indeed high enough, but our equipment is still lacking. If every brother can get a complete set of quasi-legendary equipment, there might be a chance. The equipment they obtain may not necessarily be their turn to use. It needs to go through the upper-level distribution before it can fall into the hands of suitable people. This is the army." Lin Mo thought for a while, meeting his fate. "I have some equipment obtained from the dungeon here, you all come and pick, see if there is anything suitable." Saying that, Lin Mo took out 800 pieces of quasi-legendary equipment. All of a sudden, the ground was full of equipment, densely packed, higher than a small mountain. The perennial snow was crushed, and a large number of colors suddenly appeared in the pure white ice and snow world. Everyone was stunned. What is called equipment piled up like a mountain? This is it. Chi Tizu was once again taken aback. "General Lin, did you get all your equipment from the dungeon? How long have you been running dungeons?" Lin Mo said, "Only half a day, 400 pieces at a time, it's very fast." Chi Tizu was stunned. All the soldiers were shocked and opened their mouths wide, unable to speak. What is called 400 pieces at a time, very fast? What is called only half a day? They fight once, taking nearly a day, to get about 10 pieces of quasi-legendary equipment. After that, they have to wait 10 days for the dungeon cooldown to end before they can fight a second time. A team of 24 people, not everyone can have high-level cooldown amulets. These equipment in front of them, they have to fight 80 times. Calculated once every 10 days, it will take at least 800 days, which is more than 3 years. They have to work hard for 3 years, but Lin Moyu only took half a day. Comparing people is really infuriating. Chi Tizu was convinced, fame is not without reason. No matter what Lin Moyu's level is, his strength is real. The key reason why Lin Moyu is willing to give them equipment is because of their 8th military region. The 8th military region has another name, which is the 8th fortress. That is the force belonging to Bai Yiyuan and Meng Anwen. As long as they are from the 8th fortress, they are all their trusted subordinates. So, these are our own people. In the Bai Shen courtyard, peace has returned to its former state. Meng Anwen, Bai Yiyuan, and Yan Guangsheng sat together, drinking tea. Meng Anwen and Bai Yiyuan's promotion ended half a day ago. They successfully reached level 96, with the law entering their bodies and integrating skills. From then on, they can drive the law, and the power of their skills has greatly increased. The next thing to do is to integrate more laws into the skills, while enhancing the power of the skills, but also enhancing themselves. As the number of laws that can be driven increases and the intensity continues to increase, they will eventually comprehend the true meaning of the law and can begin to control the law. Seeking fresh flowers. Once they reach this point, they will become demigods. Yan Guangsheng said, Xiao Yu has been out for a long time, and I don't know when he will return. Bai Yiyuan drank tea. The kid said that we don't need to worry about the third job change, and I don't know what he is going to do. Meng Anwen smiled, don't worry about Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu's third job change will definitely be fine, with that person there. Yan Guangsheng sighed, I really didn't expect that Xiao Yu could actually talk to that person. Bai Yiyuan said, yes, before, in the entire human race, only demigods were qualified to talk to that person. Even if we reach level 96, we are still not qualified. Yan Guangsheng thought of the time when he tried to challenge Antares without knowing his limitations. Now that he thinks about it, it's good to be able to save his life. Meng Anwen suddenly twitched his eyebrows, Xiao Yu is back. Several people showed surprise. After he finished speaking, there were spatial fluctuations outside the courtyard. 0. Someone teleported here. There are only a few people in the entire human race who are qualified to teleport directly to the Bai Shen courtyard. They felt Lin Moyu's aura and showed shock. Meng Anwen said in a low voice, Xiao Yu has completed the third job change, and also. Yan Guangsheng's senses were equally sharp, and also very strong. I feel stronger than ordinary gods. How exactly did Xiao Yu complete the third job change? What means did that person use? How can you and I imagine that person's methods? If Xiao Yu doesn't say anything later, don't ask. Understood. They are all old and sophisticated. They all know which questions can be asked and which questions should not be asked. Lin Moyu hadn't returned to the Bai Shen courtyard for a long time, and his eyes were filled with nostalgia. Recently, although he has seen a wider sky, returning to this small place can make him feel warmth. Since Grandma left, my sister has also embarked on her own path. This is the warmest place in my memory. Teacher, I'm back. Seeing the three familiar figures, Lin Moyu respectfully greeted them. He went up to serve tea to the three teachers. These three teachers treat him sincerely, without any selfishness. Meng Anwen did not speak. It was enough that Lin Moyu returned safely. Yan Guangsheng smiled. Not bad, not bad. Xiao Yu has not only completed the third job change, but also greatly improved his strength. Bai Yiyuan also laughed loudly. Kid, you really didn't disappoint me. Halfway through his words, he suddenly jumped up. How did you become a 5-star general? Meng Anwen then noticed the military badge on Lin Moyu's shoulder and said softly, Xiao Yu, have a cup of tea and speak slowly. To become a 5-star general, one must have gone through a great battle. I don't know what Lin Moyu has experienced. Although Lin Moyu's combat power cannot be measured by level, he is only level 74 after all. Facing a god-level powerhouse, if he said there was no pressure at all, no one would believe him. Chapter 646. Useless to others, but very useful to me. Seeing that the three of them had strange expressions, Lin Moyu was also strange in his heart, not knowing what was wrong. After he sat down, Bai Yiyuan took the initiative to pour him tea and asked, was it very dangerous at the time? Yan Guangsheng followed Bai Yiyuan's words, did they come one by one, or did they come together? Were they demons or dragons? Lin Moyu said, it was the dragons. 13 dragon kings came together. 12 low-level dragon kings, 1 middle-level dragon king. Hiss. The three looked at each other. This team size is not small. They are naturally not afraid. If other god-level powerhouses encounter them, they will either escape or die. Bai Yiyuan asked, was this battle thrilling? Lin Moyu shook his head, not dangerous, it only took 2 minutes. Hiss. Again, drawing in cold air, the three were even more unbelievable. Meng Anwen seemed to realize something. After your third job change, was the increase in strength very large? Lin Mo nodded in agreement with Meng Anwen, it is indeed quite significant. Without using external aids, my actual combat power should be close to level 93. If I were to use external aids, killing a level 93 divine level expert wouldn't be difficult. The external aids Lin Mo was referring to were the solidified essence blood of the fire god and the fresh essence blood of the god of poison. Recently, with the continuous improvement of his strength, the frequency of using these two methods has greatly decreased. However, Lin Mo still has his strongest trump card, detonating the law god crystal of the thunder god and the corpse of the god of poison. Lin Mo wouldn't use it until the last moment of desperation. Listening to Lin Mo's explanation, the three of them realized they were wrong. The dragon race was truly delivering military merits from 1,000 miles away, directly promoting Lin Mo from a 3-star god general to a 5-star god general. Bai Yiyuan looked at Meng Anwen, old Meng, you've read a lot. Has our human race ever had someone who could easily destroy a divine-level figure just after their third transformation? Meng Anwen looked at Bai Yiyuan as if he were an idiot. Does this have anything to do with how much I've read? If there were such a person, would you not know? Yan Guangsheng followed, exactly, if there were such a person, our human race would have counterattacked the Abyss Dragon realm long ago. To be able to easily slaughter divine-level experts at level 70 or so. Then when he becomes a divine level, or even a half-step divine level. I'm afraid even a true transcendent god wouldn't be his opponent. The Demon Emperor of the Abyss and the Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Realm. They are only half-step transcendent gods, far from reaching the level of transcendent gods. Lin Mo's ability to challenge beyond his level is too terrifying. When Lin Mo becomes a half-step transcendent god, perhaps there really is a chance to lead the human race to counterattack the Abyss and the Dragon Realm. A gleam of excitement flickered in the eyes of the three, especially by Yiyuan and Yan Guangsheng. Lin Mo probably guessed what they were thinking, and he had similar thoughts before. However, Zhang Yi once said that even if he became a transcendent god, he shouldn't even think about destroying the Abyss and the Dragon Realm. There seemed to be some hidden secrets that outsiders didn't know. Thinking about how Emperor Di had been living in seclusion for 100 years, basically not asking about worldly affairs, only holding down the fort for the human race. Now he has also gone to an unknown place. Only those at their level can understand why. Lin Mo didn't respond to the three, but instead said, Teacher, I went to farm the high-level dungeon of Kunlun Shrine a few times and brought back some quasi-legendary equipment. It's useless for me to keep it. Bai Yiyuan said, there are also teams in the army that specialize in raiding Kunlun Shrine. I went there when I was young. It's indeed a good place to get equipment. Especially the Kunlun set. If you can get a complete set of the same attribute, it's really no worse than legendary equipment. Yan Guangsheng snorted, why are you talking about this useless stuff? Who can get this equipment? The army has been farming it for so many years and has only managed to gather 3 to 5 sets. Bai Yiyuan said, that stuff isn't suitable for me anyway. Yan Guangsheng said, it's not suitable for me either. The army has always had a dedicated team farming equipment there. Over the years, they have managed to gather a few sets. However, the attributes of those sets are not suitable for either of them. Lin Mo didn't say anything. With a thought, a large amount of equipment suddenly appeared on the open space outside the small courtyard. Various kinds of equipment piled up like mountains. Even Meng Anwen was a little shocked and couldn't help but sit up straight. Bai Yiyuan covered his head, good heavens, how many times have you farmed it? Lin Mo said seriously, 20 times. Yan Guangsheng wasn't very sure, did you open 4 channels every time? Lin Mo nodded, yes. Then do you get 4 pieces of Kunlun set equipment every time? His eyes suddenly became fiery. 20 times, that's 80 pieces of Kunlun set equipment. Even if they can't be assembled into a complete set, don't forget that they have them in the army warehouse. Lin Mo alone, in half a day, completed the accumulation of an elite team for several years. This efficiency is too high. Lin Mo also took out the Kunlun set equipment, which was another pile of small mountains. The Kunlun set equipment was obviously of a higher grade and had more powerful energy, which was recklessly emitted when piled together. Teachers, see if there's anything suitable. I'll go farm it again another day. Farming dungeons is not difficult for him at all, and he doesn't get tired at all. With just a thought, the undead army can clear it from beginning to end. At most, he just walks around, takes a stroll, and then reaps the rewards. If his storage space wasn't full, Lin Mo estimated that he would still be farming equipment in Kunlun Shrine. Meng Anwen didn't have any pursuit for the Kunlun set equipment. He already had the Divine Sha Tower, so he didn't need any other equipment. Legendary equipment has a not-so-good characteristic, which is exclusivity. Once you have legendary equipment, you can't use equipment lower than legendary grade. So no matter how good the attributes of the Kunlun set equipment are, it has nothing to do with Meng Anwen. Unless he is willing to give up the Divine Sha Tower. Bai Yiyuan and Yan Guangsheng were different. Their eyes lit up as they picked through the piles of Kunlun set equipment, searching for equipment suitable for themselves. Assembling a Kunlun set of the same attribute is the dream of many professionals. Even these two, who are already level 96 high-level gods, have not been able to avoid it. Lin Mo poured a cup of tea for Meng Anwen. Teacher Meng, some time ago I obtained a weapon left behind by a god, a mythic grade 1. Meng Anwen raised his eyebrows. Which god is it? The god of bloodshed. Lin Mo took out the blood god plate and recounted what happened on the Wind and Thunder continent at that time. Meng Anwen had heard of the god of bloodshed. Although this god's reputation wasn't as loud as those of the gods of wind, fire, and water, its strength was far beyond that of the gods of wind, fire, and water. He was a true high-level god. The weapon of a high-level god must be a mythic grade weapon, possessing the power of laws. Moreover, the weapon will never leave their hand. The blood god plate was first obtained by Feng Hua, and now it has fallen into Lin Mo's hands, indicating that the god of bloodshed has indeed fallen. Lin Mo said, it seems that our human race can't use the weapons of gods. Antares told him so, and Lin Mo could only choose to believe it. However, Meng Anwen has now reached the high-level god realm, and perhaps he can gain some insights through the research of the blood god plate. One law understood, all laws understood. Meng Anwen took the blood god plate and carefully sensed it for a moment, then pointed his finger, and the Divine Sha Tower appeared in midair. The Divine Sha Tower dropped streamers of light, enveloping the blood god plate. Under Meng Anwen's control, the Divine Sha Tower kept rotating, and a large number of runes appeared in the streamers of light. Lin Mo knew that Meng Anwen was analyzing the blood god plate. This is one of the abilities of an alchemist. Meng Anwen became a god with dual professions, alchemist and array master. The two professions are independent of each other and complement each other, greatly increasing Meng Anwen's strength. Bang! The huge sound was like thunder, and the Divine Sha Tower suddenly shook violently, then was blasted away and disappeared into the sky. The blood god plate bloomed with a faint red light, and the surface was like flowing blood. Meng Anwen didn't care about the flying Divine Sha Tower. The Divine Sha Tower had his soul imprint. No matter where it flew, it could return with just a thought. Meng Anwen whispered, as expected of a mythic grade weapon, it comes with its own laws and is extremely powerful. Being able to blast the Divine Sha Tower away without anyone controlling it, the blood god plate is indeed powerful. Lin Mo asked, is this thing useful? Meng Anwen smiled, for others, it's indeed useless. But for me, it's very useful. The Divine Sha Tower is a special legendary grade equipment and is inherently malleable. It has a chance to become a mythic grade equipment, but it lacks opportunity 2.3. Now the opportunity has come. I can slowly analyze the structure inside the blood god plate, especially the laws within it. The Divine Sha Tower can simulate the arrangement with formations. Eventually, the Divine Sha Tower will also be upgraded to mythic grade equipment. Meng Anwen showed a hint of excitement. Among the human race, legendary equipment was extremely rare. But mythical weapons and equipment could only be counted on one's fingers. If the Divine Sha Pagoda could transform into mythical equipment, it would indeed be a good thing for the human race. Judging from Meng Anwen's expression, he seemed quite confident. Meng Anwen had a smile on his face, and so did Lin Moyu. He was also very happy to be able to help Meng Anwen. Then Lin Moyu said again, Teacher, I'll have to trouble you again this time to send me to the lower space. Meng Anwen asked strangely, didn't you just come back from there? Lin Moyu sighed, there are still some things I need to take care of. I've made a deal with someone and need to fulfill it. Meng Anwen didn't ask much, knowing that Lin Moyu must have his own plans. With a thought, the divine Sha pagoda teleported over from an unknown distance. Then a teleportation array appeared in the air. Chapter 647, the center of the lower space, a terrifying vortex. It wasn't until Lin Moyu left that Bai Yiyuan and Yan Guangsheng raised their heads from the pile of Kunlun suits. Bai Yiyuan asked strangely, Xiao Yu just came back, why did he leave again? Meng Anwen casually said, he said he has a deal to complete, I don't know who it's with. Yan Guangsheng said, this kid, can't he take a break? Bai Yiyuan said unhappily, you didn't see you resting when you were young. Put down the bracelet in your hand for me, I saw it first. Yan Guangsheng shouted, get lost, I clearly saw it first, when is it your turn? Bai Yiyuan was unwilling, my suit is only missing 3 pieces. Yan Guangsheng retorted on the spot, not giving him any face, I'm only missing 2 pieces, who can you blame for being slow? If you talk nonsense I'll chop you to death with 1 knife. I'll turn you into mud with 1 punch. The 2 of them argued back and forth, neither willing to give in. Meng Anwen chuckled, he was used to these 2 arguing. They were already old, but they were still like old children. They wouldn't feel comfortable if they didn't argue every day. After he sent Lin Moyu away, he sent the blood god plate into the divine Sha pagoda and began to carefully study and analyze it. The whole person lay lazily on the chair, as if dozing off. His mind had already entered the divine Sha pagoda, and he began to analyze every detail of the blood god plate. He had just been able to use the power of laws, and his understanding of laws was still superficial. Now that such a good opportunity was in front of him, how could Meng Anwen miss it? Laws needed to be comprehended on one's own, and everyone comprehended different laws. At this step of level 29, it was no longer like being in school, or learning some simple skills, where the mentor could still teach. How far one could go depended on oneself. Meng Anwen had preliminarily studied the laws in the past few days, but he still couldn't figure them out. Only when he leveled up did he integrate that trace of law into his skills. It did greatly increase the power of the skills, far exceeding the past. But later, when he needed to actively use the power of laws to integrate into his skills, he couldn't do it. Now, the blood god plate provided by Lin Moyu contained the laws from the blood-devouring god. Although it was different from his path, it could be used as a reference. Meng Anwen was completely immersed in his research. As for Yan Guangsheng and Bai Yiyuan, these 2 old guys could do whatever they wanted. Even if they demolished the White God courtyard, it was none of his business. What could be more important than studying laws? The divine Sha pagoda possessed extremely strong teleportation abilities, and could even select coordinates in the eternal battlefield. Meng Anwen obviously had the coordinates of the divine Sha ancient city in his hand, and instantly teleported Lin Moyu near the divine Sha ancient city. This was the 3rd time Lin Moyu had come to the divine Sha ancient city. Looking at it from the air, the divine Sha ancient city was square. The side length was only about 5 kilometers, which could only be considered a small city. In the divine Sha empire, some larger villages were much larger than the divine Sha ancient city. However, Lin Moyu knew its true form. It was not an ancient city at all. This was a war fortress. Moreover, its main body was much larger than what he saw at this moment. When it descended back then, it greatly reduced its volume and completely curled up. If one day it fully unfolded again and returned to its peak state, it would definitely be a terrifying weapon. Lin Moyu did not enter the city this time. After watching for a while, he flew to the edge of the cliff. The Azure Dragon Sea's water surged and crashed against the reefs, making thunderous sounds. The Azure Dragon Sea was not as lightning-filled as the Wind and Thunder Sea, nor as dazzling and beautiful as the Starlight Sea. On the surface, the water flow and waves were very large, but people who had gone down said that the bottom of the water was actually very calm. Compared to the rapids on the surface, it was simply 2 different worlds. Moreover, the people who went down did not encounter any danger, and they all said that the Azure Dragon Sea should be safer than the Starlight Sea and the Wind and Thunder Sea. Lin Moyu didn't believe that there would be a safe place in the eternal battlefield. The Kunlun Great God said that when the Saint Sound God fell, he smashed through the Wild Continent, and the Godhead also fell into the Azure Dragon Sea below the Wild Continent. But after so many years, the water currents have changed, and the Godhead must have followed the water currents and gone to an unknown place. Others are looking for a needle in a haystack, I am looking for a godhead in the sea. Lin Moyu chuckled to himself, this matter was probably not easy. If it was easy, they wouldn't have come to him. There must be something fishy under the Azure Dragon Sea. If there was no danger, they could just find a level 80 professional. If one wasn't enough, they could find a few more. It's not like the human race has no one. Lin Moyu flew towards the distance with caution. The direction he went to first was not the wild continent, but the confluence of ocean currents, the center of the lower space. In the center of the 4 continents of the southeast, northwest, there was an extremely huge vortex. The water in the ocean was constantly surging towards the vortex. If the godhead was really taken away by the water flow, then the direction it flowed would also be the central vortex. I only hope that it doesn't enter the vortex, then it will really be impossible to find. But I only promised the Kunlun great god that I would do my best. Lin Moyu went all out and moved forward at a speed of 1,000 meters per second. On his body were the waves of the Azure Dragon Sea, one wave after another. From a distance, they looked like green dragons, jumping out of the sea from time to time, tumbling endlessly on the surface of the sea. The name of the Azure Dragon Sea came from this. Lin Moyu flew all the way without encountering any danger. He didn't even see any creatures, not only did his eyes not see them, but even his soul perception didn't sense them. Where he passed, there seemed to be no living beings. This alone was very strange. Whether it was the Starlight Sea or the Wind and Thunder Sea, there were some native monsters in them. But currently, there were none in the Azure Dragon Sea that he had flown over. Jialin Liang had once smashed open the ice layer of the wild continent, entered the Azure Dragon Sea from there, and was then injured by a poisonous creature. This shows that there were monsters under the Azure Dragon Sea. So Lin Moyu could only guess whether it was because of the existence of the vortex that there were no monsters here. The monsters were all far away from the vortex. He was now less than 10,000 meters away from the vortex, and he could already see the enormous vortex from afar. The vortex was like a black hole, constantly sucking in seawater from all directions, leading to an unknown destination. The moment he saw the vortex, a thought suddenly popped into his mind, could the vortex be dangerous? As soon as this thought arose, his soul sent out a warning, followed by waves of tremors. Danger! Lin Moyu immediately stopped and then retreated rapidly. Just as he was retreating, an invisible giant hand swept past him, as fast as lightning. If Lin Moyu had been even 0.1 seconds slower, he would definitely have been hit by the giant hand. The giant hand could not be seen with the naked eye. Lin Moyu was able to detect it because he had been constantly releasing his soul power. Lin Moyu continued to retreat, stopping only after retreating several thousand meters. His face was a little unsightly, his soul had trembled violently just now. Although he was not hit by the giant hand, his soul was still impacted. Releasing the soul is like a double-edged sword. It can detect danger, but it also provides a channel for others to attack. When the 9-colored dragon soul crystal was attacked before, it let out a dragon roar, forming a protection for the soul. Otherwise, the soul injury would have been much more severe. Now, it once again emitted a dragon roar, spraying soul power to heal the soul. The soul suffered a wave of impact, only minor injuries, which were not a hindrance. But Lin Moyu felt alarmed. This sudden attack had not a trace of warning. The attack targeted the soul, silently and without a sound. If he had dodged slowly, his soul would definitely have been severely damaged by this palm. In the instant it swept past, Lin Moyu felt that the giant hand possessed extremely large and extremely chaotic soul energy. The inside of this giant hand seemed to be composed of countless souls. The power of these souls was mixed together, fused into ascent, and could exert extremely strong power. However, the wills of these souls were disorganized and chaotic when mixed together. Yet, it was extremely powerful, and Lin Moyu himself found it difficult to resist. No wonder there are so few records about this vortex. The records only warn that this place is very dangerous and must not be approached. Those who approached all died, without any survivors, so naturally, no one knows what happened inside. After waiting here for a moment, he was not attacked again. Lin Moyu noted the position where the giant hand had attacked him earlier, and cautiously approached with courage. His soul was still in a state of release. When he approached within 10,000 meters of the vortex, that sense of danger rose again. Lin Moyu instantly retreated and also withdrew his released soul. He once again sensed an immeasurably large soul force sweeping past him, and the whistling wind entered his soul. 10,000 meters, this is the limit. If the giant hand has a sense of territory, then 10,000 meters from the vortex is its territory. Lin Moyu understood in his heart and began to fly around the vortex, always maintaining a distance of 11,000 meters. Chapter 648 Puppet Master Family, Southwest Wong Family. After several tests, Lin Moyu determined that as long as he did not enter the 10,000 meter range, there would be no danger. 10,000 meters was the critical point. The four sides of the vortex were connected to the remaining several oceans. There were monsters living in the other oceans, Lin Moyu was very sure. But near the vortex, there was not a single monster. Even the starlight of the Starlight Sea had disappeared, even starlight did not exist here. The vortex seemed to have become a forbidden zone, no monster or living being dared to approach. But if he could not get close, then he could not explore the truth. The detection spell could not fly as far as 10,000 meters either. Try with the Undead Legion. Lin Moyu summoned 10 headless knights and had them charge towards the vortex in different directions. He wanted to use the headless knight's vision to see the situation inside the vortex. Anyway, the headless knights would not die. If they suffered a fatal attack, they would be reborn in his summoning space. The headless knights activated the charge skill, rushing past at a speed of 3,000 meters per second. 10 headless knights rushed past from different directions and different angles. Just as they entered the 10,000 meter range of the vortex, having charged less than 100 meters, taking less than 0.1 seconds. They collectively collapsed silently, without any sound. The headless knights died directly, and then appeared in the summoning space. They died together, with almost no distinction between them. Through the vision of the headless knights, Lin Moyu felt the attack from the soul. There was also almost no distinction between them. Lin Moyu's eyes flickered. Try again. 10 headless knights were too few. This time, he released 10,000 headless knights. The headless knights surrounded the vortex in a circle, with them in all directions, in the sky and in the water. With Lin Moyu's order, the headless knights collectively activated the charge skill and charged over again. Lin Moyu's soul power surged wildly, connecting to 10,000 visions. Immediately afterward, a scene that shocked him occurred. He saw a flash of blue light, and then saw a huge face. This face resembled a human face, but it was full of all kinds of monsters. The human face was composed of soul power, extremely powerful and with chaotic consciousness. It appeared above the vortex like a beast, letting out an angry roar. The roar spread 10,000 meters between souls, and all the headless knights collapsed at the same time. Lin Moyu's whole body also trembled violently, his face pale. Because his soul was connected to the headless knights, this roar also affected his soul. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal constantly spewed soul power, healing Lin Moyu. The soul's injury was very light, only a tremor, and it had already healed in the blink of an eye. Lin Moyu had some guesses about the vortex. That human face explained many problems. The human face was just a form, the essence was still a soul attack. More essentially, it was the chaotic consciousness within, which meant that these soul energies were composed of countless soul strands. Their souls were combined together, but the consciousness had not been unified. Where did these souls come from? Most likely, they were the monster beings that were attracted by the water flow. They were sucked into the vortex, and their souls were firmly trapped by the vortex, becoming the vortex's power. The consciousness was not destroyed, and it was also trapped here. Lin Moyu suddenly had a creepy feeling. If consciousness existed and could still think, then the vortex was a prison of eternal torment. What exactly is in the vortex? Imprisoning souls is not something ordinary people can do. Lin Moyu was preparing to try again, to draw out the human face again, and observe it. Although the observation time was only about 0.1 seconds, he could make up for the lack of time with the number of times. Observing it more times might reveal something. Just as he was about to summon the headless knights again, Lin Moyu suddenly stopped. Turning his head, he saw 2 professionals flying from afar. A man and a woman, holding hands, looking like a couple. The man's appearance suggested he was around 40 years old. The woman seemed to be about the same age, but she appeared much younger due to her skills in maintaining her youth. The 2 flew to Lin Moyu's side, and the man clasped his fist at Lin Moyu. "Brother, are you also here to admire the central whirlpool?" The central whirlpool was the name of this whirlpool. Lin Moyu hummed in acknowledgement. The man continued, "In a moment, it will be the time of the whirlpool's reversal, a rare spectacle that only happens once a year. Lin Moyu asked, what is a whirlpool reversal? He had not seen any records of a whirlpool reversal, nor had he heard anyone mention it. The man laughed, it's just a name I gave to this spectacle. I saw it in an ancient book. The central whirlpool erupts with a seawater backflow phenomenon every year, said to be quite magnificent. Lin Moyu was shocked. Seawater backflow, what will happen? The man shook his head, it's just the literal meaning, I haven't seen the specifics either, but it's said to be very spectacular anyway. At this moment, the woman said, let's get closer to take a look. The man readily agreed, and the two flew off again. Lin Moyu suddenly shouted, come back. The man paused, is there something wrong, little brother? Lin Moyu said, don't get within 10,000 meters, it's dangerous, people will die. The man was slightly stunned, not completely believing Lin Moyu's words. But he could see that Lin Moyu didn't seem to be joking. He suddenly took out a metal bead. The metal bead was only the size of a fist. The man tossed it into the air, then cast a skill with his finger. The metal bead exploded with a bang, turning into a half-man high sword-wielding puppet. Lin Moyu looked at the man, puppet master. Puppet masters were rare, and this profession also had bloodline inheritance. There was only one puppet master family in the Divine Summer Empire. The man should be from this puppet master family. The man was slightly proud, that's right, the Wang family of the Southwest. Wang Feng. The Wang family of the Southwest, a puppet master family, an extremely ancient family in the Divine Summer Empire. Their history was even older than the Divine Summer Empire. They existed before the founding of the country. Their ancestors had made indelible contributions to the Divine Summer Empire and the entire human race. Their records were in the history books of the Divine Summer Empire. However, in the recent century, no divine-level experts had appeared in the Wang family of the Southwest, and they had declined slightly. But within the empire, no one dared to underestimate them. Even families with divine-level experts did not dare to cause trouble for them. 1. Because the Wang family was full of honor. 2. Because the family possessed divine-level puppets. Wang Feng, as a descendant of the Wang family of the Southwest, and having reached level 83, with a high possibility of becoming a new generation of divine-level puppet master, could indeed be proud. Lin Moyu's mind flashed through a large amount of information about the Wang family of the Southwest. The Wang family is a great family. Lin Moyu's tone was slightly respectful. The Wang family had indeed made great contributions to the Divine Summer Empire and even the entire human race. Wang Feng's expression was even more arrogant than before. He pointed his finger forward, and the swordsman puppet immediately rushed over. This puppet's aura was not obvious, but judging from its speed, it should have a combat power of around level 80. And Lin Moyu could feel that there were soul fluctuations in the puppet, forming some kind of special connection with Wang Feng. Lin Moyu judged that Wang Feng should be manipulating the puppet with his own soul. In that case, puppet masters seemed to have some research on souls. At least among other professionals, below the divine level, Lin Moyu rarely saw professionals who had researched souls. The puppet quickly rushed past the 10,000-meter limit, suddenly stopped, and fell from the air. Wang Feng simultaneously let out a muffled groan, and his whole person instantly became listless. His face was pale, and his expression carried a hint of fear, as if he had seen something terrifying. Lin Moyu knew that his soul had suffered some damage. After all, he was using his soul to manipulate the puppet. When the puppet was destroyed, his soul would also be implicated. But this kind of injury was not serious. Even without any treatment, it could recover in a few days. Feng Ji, are you okay? Wang Feng shook his head to indicate that he was fine. Then he asked Lin Moyu, what exactly is going on here? Wang Feng's tone was still okay. He did not blame Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu had kindly reminded him. If he had gone over just now, it might not have been the puppet that died. Losing a puppet didn't matter. Even if puppets were difficult to manufacture, it was better than dying himself. The soul attack just now was extremely terrifying. He knew that if he had gone, he would definitely not have survived. In this way, Lin Moyu's reminder could be considered to have saved his life. Lin Moyu said, I haven't figured it out yet, it should be a soul attack. Wang Feng said, there is very little information about the central whirlpool. I also saw only a few words in a notebook of my family's ancestors, knowing that the central whirlpool would have a seawater backflow every few years. Then, after calculation, I deduced the specific time of the seawater backflow. Wang Feng's family was old enough, So it was not surprising that he knew some things that outsiders did not know. But he did not know what the seawater backflow was. The notebook only said it was very spectacular, but did not say the specifics. Suddenly, a roar sounded in the whirlpool. The seawater that was constantly flowing in suddenly began to become violent. The center of the whirlpool was like boiling water, water columns rose, and seawater constantly flowed upstream, forming water columns. Lin Moyu's expression changed slightly, and he immediately shouted, "Retreat!" Chapter 649. The lower space is like a god's cemetery. Lin Moyu retreated quickly, and Wang Feng and his wife also retreated together. Lin Moyu retreated tens of thousands of meters, stopping only when he was more than 30 kilometers away from the whirlpool. At this time, at the whirlpool, the waves were tumbling one after another. Each giant wave could rise more than 1,000 meters, and it was still increasing sharply. The whirlpool rapidly expanded, swallowing all the surrounding seawater. The position where they had just stood had been submerged by the expanded whirlpool in less than half a minute. Wang Feng looked frightened. If he had retreated a little slower just now, it would have been a life-and-death crisis again. "Thank you, brother." Wang Feng sincerely thanked Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu did not speak, but stared solemnly at the whirlpool. Others saw the raging waves, but he saw the souls rioting under the waves. A huge soul force appeared in the whirlpool, turning into giant palms, constantly slapping the water surface, creating monstrous waves. Not only Lin Moyu felt the soul riot, but Wang Feng also felt it. With such a riotous and powerful soul force, Wang Feng felt that as long as he was hit by it, he would definitely die without a burial place. His expression became even paler. Not only was he injured, but he was also frightened. How could this be? The ancestors' notebook didn't write that it would be like this. Wang Feng kept muttering, and his palms even began to sweat. Lin Moyu still ignored him, but conducted a deeper level of feeling. The monstrous waves were only the appearance, and the core was the riot of soul force. And what was the core of the soul force riot, and why would it riot? Lin Moyu went deeper and deeper, and he saw an even more chaotic consciousness than before. The vortex absorbed a large number of living monsters, confining their souls within it and kneading them together along with their consciousness. Under the influence of some great power, the souls merged with each other, becoming more powerful. However, the consciousness did not merge. They remained independent and scattered, each acting on its own, thus becoming chaotic and disordered. It was like a powerful army without a unified command. Some soldiers wanted to go south, while others wanted to go north. Some wanted to charge, while others wanted to retreat. Yet the entire army was unbelievably powerful, and even a small fraction of its strength could annihilate enemies. So, the chaos didn't matter much. This was only before. Although the consciousness was chaotic, it hadn't reached the point of eruption. Now, something seemed to have changed inside the vortex, and these chaotic consciousnesses had completely erupted. After several minutes of chaos, the vortex finally reached its limit. With a deafening roar, a massive waterspout, tens of thousands of meters high, shot out from the center of the vortex, reaching straight into the sky. At that moment, the sky and the sea were connected. From a distance, it looked like a waterfall flowing backward, a truly magnificent sight. Such a huge waterspout had never been seen before. It was as if it was trying to pierce through the sky. Wang Feng and his wife exclaimed in unison, the fear they had felt earlier greatly diminished. Lin Mo gazed at the towering fountain, sensing that with this eruption, the chaotic consciousness was suddenly driven out and quickly dissipated into the world. A peculiar aura emanated from the bottom of the vortex. A god. Lin Mo frowned, sensing the aura of a god. Along with the divine aura came the power of laws. The power of laws quickly unified the power of the souls, taking the essence and discarding the dross, the chaotic consciousness being the dross. In the blink of an eye, the chaotic consciousness within had been completely expelled, and the remaining souls became extremely pure. Then, the power of the souls fell with the waves, re-entering the vortex. The vortex was like an invisible giant mouth, swallowing the purified soul power in one gulp. The divine aura also disappeared without a trace. Lin Mo finally understood that there was a god, or at least a high-level god, within the vortex. It controlled the vortex, absorbing a large number of monsters and creatures, and using extremely crude methods to knead their souls together. Once the quantity was sufficient, it would use laws to dispel the chaotic consciousness within, claiming the power of the souls for itself. This method of indiscriminately capturing souls and devouring them. Lin Mo felt that this god was not friendly or kind. After the eruption, the vortex quickly returned to calm. The vortex shrank, becoming much smaller than before. Wang Feng exclaimed, "It's over." Although dangerous, it was truly spectacular. The sea and sky merge into one. The ancestors did not deceive me. It was worth seeing. He could only sense the surface soul power, unlike Lin Mo, who could sense it so deeply. He couldn't sense the deeper things. Lin Mo stared at the vortex, analyzing based on what he had seen and felt earlier. A god should be sleeping deep within the great vortex, probably seriously injured. As long as one enters the vortex, whether monster, human, demon, or dragon, it treats them all the same, accepting all who come. Every few years, when enough souls have gathered, it will awaken, using laws to dispel the consciousness within and completely devour the purest soul power. It seems this god is skilled in soul manipulation. Gods each have their own strengths, and the god sleeping in the vortex was clearly skilled in soul manipulation. At least, it was beyond what Lin Mo could currently compare with. Lin Mo pondered, slowly flying forward. Seeing this, Wang Feng quickly called out, "Brother, what are you doing? It's dangerous there." Lin Mo replied, "It's not dangerous for now, I'm going to take a look." Wang Feng hesitated for a moment but didn't follow. The vortex's eruption earlier had really scared him. If he were hit by that, he would definitely die without a trace. He cherished his life and decided to wait and see. Lin Mo arrived 10,000 meters away from the vortex, and a headless knight appeared, charging toward the vortex. This time, the headless knight successfully entered the 10,000-meter range. It was not attacked this time, and then it continued to advance safely. Until the headless knight approached within 1,000 meters of the vortex's edge, the soul attack descended again. The headless knight died on the spot and returned to the summoning space. The range had shrunk to 1,000 meters, meaning the god's defensive circle had shrunk to 1,000 meters. But the soul attack within this 1,000-meter range was even more intense than before. This was a restricted area, not allowing anyone to enter. This god has still left some power for defense. It seems its injury is not that severe. Lin Mo didn't plan to go in, to provoke a high-level god skilled in using soul attacks. He wasn't arrogant enough to do that. His gaze swept across the lower space, as if seeing all four oceans within. In the lower space, except for the divine dragon continent in the east, almost every continent had something related to gods. The entire lower space was like a graveyard of gods. There had once been an earth-shattering battle here, with a large number of gods falling. Seeing that Lin Mo was fine, Wang Feng mustered his courage and came over. "Brother, are you all right?" Lin Mo shook his head, indicating that he was fine. Wang Feng said, "I don't know what's going on with this central great vortex. I've never heard anyone say it's so dangerous here." Lin Mo chuckled, "That's because those who got too close are dead. Dead men tell no tales." Wang Feng suddenly had a creepy feeling. "Oh my, that's so scary. Forget it, I'd better not come here again in the future." "Yes, don't come if you don't have to. This was the sleeping place of a powerful god. Coming here was pointless unless you wanted to slay a god." "But it doesn't look dangerous." Wang Feng looked left and right, unable to see any danger. The vortex at this time looked unusually calm. As long as you didn't enter its 1,000-meter restricted area, there was no danger at all. It looks harmless, but it's actually very dangerous. This god is very good at disguising itself. Suddenly, bursts of crisp sounds rang out, gradually forming a beautiful piece of music. The sound was melodious and pleasant, carrying a peculiar rhythm. The sound of souls. Lin Mo judged that the sound came from the great vortex. Wang Feng exclaimed, "Brother, did you hear something?" Lin Mo hummed, "It's the sound of souls." The woman next to Wang Feng said strangely, "Why didn't I hear it?" Wang Feng said, "That's because your soul level isn't high enough, it's normal not to hear it." Then, Wang Feng looked strange. "Why do I feel like this sound is summoning something?" Lin Mo pointed into the distance. "It's summoning the monsters in the sea." Following the direction Lin Mo pointed, the monsters under the Starlight Sea and the Wind and Thunder Sea were heading towards the vortex. This sound of souls was aimed at the monsters. Lin Mo could hear it because his soul level was too high. Although Wang Feng's soul level was not as high as Lin Mo's, he also heard the sound. Under the call of the sound of souls, a large number of monsters rushed from the sea, heedless of danger, and charged into the vortex. After entering the 1,000-meter range of the vortex, they died silently one by one. Souls and consciousness were being drawn out and fused together. The vortex's range also expanded. Lin Moyu watched this scene, knowing that the same thing must have played out countless times. The sleeping god summoned creatures over and over again, killed them, and forcibly merged their souls together. Then, every few years, it would awaken once and swallow the fused souls in one gulp. The law of the jungle was on full display here. The god was powerful, so it could treat these monsters arbitrarily. Not just monsters, even if professionals, dragons, or demons went in, their fate would be the same as the monsters, they would not be treated differently. Chapter 650. The feeling of being suppressed shouldn't be this weak. Lin Moyu left without saying a word. What was playing out at the vortex was a naked display of rules. The most cruel rules of survival in the world were displayed before his eyes, with no sympathy, no right or wrong, only survival and death. The weak would be slaughtered, that was the greatest truth in the whole matter. Wang Feng chased after him. "Brother, where are you going?" Lin Moyu said lightly, "Going to Qinglong Sea." Qinglong Sea? Wang Feng didn't react for a moment. Weren't they already above Qinglong Sea? Lin Moyu's next actions told him the answer. Lin Moyu suddenly changed direction and plunged into the ocean, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Wang Feng looked like he suddenly understood, so he's going to the seabed. He clearly saw that Lin Moyu didn't want him to follow, so he didn't chase after him. The woman came to Wang Feng's side and whispered, "This person is so strange." Wang Feng smiled. "Most geniuses have some quirks." The woman said strangely, "Is he very powerful?" Wang Feng nodded. "Only level 74, but he possesses a soul comparable to the divine level. If this person isn't powerful, who else is more powerful?" Their Wang family had its own inheritance, which could sense the target's soul level. Lin Moyu's soul level was very high, already reaching the divine level. In other words, for Lin Moyu, achieving the divine level was inevitable. So Wang Feng was extremely polite to Lin Moyu, unlike how he treated others. Wang Feng smiled. "Be polite to him when you see him in the future. His future achievements are limitless." The woman was also an experienced person, and she understood the meaning of Wang Feng's words. No one knows how deep the Qinglong Sea is. An 89th level professional once went down, diving tens of thousands of meters without reaching the bottom. In the end, they had to give up because of the excessive pressure. Lin Moyu knew that if the godhead was still in the Qinglong Sea, it could only be at the bottom of the sea. The Qinglong Sea was silent, without any monsters or creatures. Even though the vortex emitted soul summons, monsters from Xingguang Sea and Fengali Sea were summoned, but in Qinglong Sea, no monsters came. It was as if there were no monsters in Qinglong Sea at all. But Lin Moyu knew that there were monsters in Qinglong Sea. Something abnormal must be happening. Lin Moyu dived deeper and deeper, and in the blink of an eye, he had gone 5,000 meters deep. There was no light here, it was truly pitch black. The power of the soul flowed out slowly, turning into Lin Moyu's eyes. Water pressure surged from all directions, constantly squeezing Lin Moyu. However, Lin Moyu was not affected at all. The water pressure at 5,000 meters was not enough to cause him any harm. Until Lin Moyu reached a depth of 10,000 meters. Suddenly, white light lit up in front of him, and the bone armor was automatically activated. Lin Moyu continued to sink, 20,000 meters, 30,000 meters. When he reached 50,000 meters, the bone armor couldn't withstand it and shattered with a bang. Lin Moyu didn't replenish it either, it would just break anyway, saving him the trouble. All the pressure he was subjected to was greatly weakened and transferred to the Undead Legion. The Undead Legion was in the summoning space, sharing the pressure for Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu continued to sink. Finally, at 100,000 meters, he reached the seabed. At this time, the water pressure had reached an alarming level, even an 89th level professional could not withstand it, at least reaching the divine level to reach here. But divine level powerhouses cannot act for long in the lower space. Lin Moyu also realized why the Kunlun god didn't look for others, it was useless to look for others. Below the divine level, only he could withstand it. The dead Qinglong seabed, and the turbulent sea surface, were completely two extremes. The power of the vortex still existed, and here you could still hear the sound between souls, and the suction from the vortex's rotation. Compared to the sea surface, it was much weaker. I hope the godhead isn't dragged into the vortex. If it is dragged into the vortex, then I can only give up. Lin Moyu didn't want to face the god in the vortex for the time being, that god was too strong, he had no certainty. The seabed was as deep as 100,000 meters, which is 100 kilometers. The holy sound wind chimes sensing range for the godhead was only 100 kilometers. This also made Lin Moyu only able to find the godhead in the sea. Lin Moyu began to rise, maintaining a depth of about 50,000 meters, and began to look for the godhead along the Qinglong Sea. Lin Moyu calculated that at his speed, it would take about 6 days to search the entire Qinglong Sea. Not too long, provided that no accidents happen. As he gradually moved away from the vortex, the sound of the soul became lighter and lighter, until it disappeared. The suction brought by the vortex also gradually disappeared. Lin Moyu realized that he had come to the bottom of the wild continent. Below the continental shelf, in addition to seawater, there were also large areas of submarine rocks, forming complex passages. Under the induction of soul power, a large number of monsters appeared. These monsters were obviously all moving away from the vortex. They hid, not to be bewitched by the sound of the soul. The arrival of Lin Moyu, this uninvited guest, immediately aroused the attention of the monsters. The monsters in groups, with territorial awareness, launched a fierce attack on Lin Moyu in groups. Lin Moyu naturally wouldn't be polite. He released the Undead Legion and launched a massacre in the sea. For a time, the peaceful Qinglong Sea became extremely lively. The Undead Legion charged and killed the monsters, leaving no one alive. Blood stained the seabed world red. The bloody smell attracted more monsters, and the Qinglong seabed, which had been peaceful for who knows how many years, completely boiled. Lin Moyu didn't care about these monsters. He continued to look for the godhead. The Undead Legion ran rampant all the way, killing wherever they went. Lin Moyu found that many monsters in the Qinglong seabed seemed to have poisonous attributes. Even in the seawater, you could see green and blue faint light. Many monsters would spray poison, covering large areas. Poison is a nightmare for professionals, but for him, it is useless. The Undead Legion was even more so. The Lich General's dispel skill could even resolve corpse poison, let alone the venom here. The world beneath the Azure Dragon Sea was far larger than the wild continent. At a depth of 100,000 meters, a large number of monsters dwelled every few hundred meters. The monsters had their own territorial areas, like layers of territorial space. The scale of the underwater world was at least equivalent to 100 wild continents. Lin Mo's disturbance attracted a massive number of monsters. He was able to hunt monsters for experience while looking for the godhead, and his experience soared. Seeking fresh flowers. In just a few hours, he was enveloped in the light of leveling up. He leveled up from level 74 to level 75. Lin Mo's eyes showed joy. I didn't expect there to be so many monsters in the sea. I should have come sooner. Even if I don't find the godhead, this trip will be worth it. Lin Mo had one more task. He began to summon continuously to replenish the Undead Legion. At level 75, the total number of the Undead Legion reached 187,000, 14,200 more than at level 74. Lin Mo still adopted the average distribution of the 4 arms, each with a quantity of 46,750. Not only did the quantity increase, but the attributes also improved a lot. Among them, the Skeleton Berserker had the highest attributes. The 4-dimensional attributes were balanced, with each attribute reaching 1.1 million and a total attribute of 4.4 million. The total attribute of the Skeleton Archmage was slightly lower than that of the Skeleton Berserker, but its spirit attribute stood out, reaching 3.8 million. The Headless Knight's strength and physique attributes were higher than those of the Skeleton Berserker, and the total attribute also broke through to 4 million. Only the Skeleton Marksman's attributes were slightly worse, but the Skeleton Marksman's skill was soul attack, and the attack power was not bad. 0. As Lin Mo's level got higher and higher, the increase in the Undead Legion became more and more enormous. At the same time, Lin Mo also developed a feeling of being suppressed. It was as if there was a force in the dark that suppressed him. He had a similar feeling before. The first time it appeared was after the second job change. But at that time, the feeling was still very weak, and his soul was not strong, so he thought he felt wrong. As the level increased, this feeling became more and more obvious. Especially after his soul reached the divine level, the feeling would appear the first time he leveled up and his skills were improved. It was just a feeling, and no trace could be found. He also told Antares about this, but even Antares could not explain it. Antares even suspected that he felt wrong. Sometimes, Lin Mo also wondered if he felt wrong. After this upgrade, this feeling of being suppressed appeared again. No source could be found, and it could not be described in words. It was just an ethereal feeling. Lin Mo even had a thought that his skills should be so weak and could be stronger. It was as if some rules restricted his skills. If the talent was discarded, his skeletons were indeed not strong. The total attribute of a level 75 skeleton berserker was only about 55,000. Even with the Lich General's bonus, the attribute was only less than 100,000. Even the most ordinary profession in the human race would have a total attribute of more than 500,000 at level 75. If there were no talent skills, his only advantage would be the huge number of summons and various skills. If there were no talent skills, he would still be sure of victory against the same level professional. Not to mention a one-on-one fight, even a 1-on-10 fight would be easy. But it would be impossible to do it to the extent it is now. Since he was the only profession and had undergone 2 professional sublimations, he should not be so weak. Even without talent, he should not be so weak. As the level increased, this feeling of being suppressed became more and more obvious and strong. It has always been a mystery that has troubled Lin Mo. Chapter 651, Cleverness is mistaken by cleverness. The feeling of being suppressed was very uncomfortable. Lin Mo had realized that something was wrong, but he could not find the root cause and could not solve it. He could only wait until his strength was strong enough to find clues. Several hours later, Lin Mo completely replenished the Undead Legion. The holy sound wind chime still had no response, and Lin Mo could only continue searching. As Lin Mo went deeper into the Azure Dragon Sea, the monster levels became higher and higher. It was difficult to encounter monsters below level 80. The movement caused by the Undead Legion became louder and louder, and finally alarmed the BOSSs under the sea. Soon, several world BOSSs came to him. The strongest one had reached level 87, and the others were at levels 84 and 85. If it were in the past, Lin Mo would definitely turn around and leave without saying a word. Fighting against water-based BOSSs in the sea was definitely not a pleasant thing. Even if he wanted to fight, it would be very hard. But with the appearance of the Divine Skeleton King, everything became extremely simple. The sword light was so dazzling in the dark sea. The Skeleton King killed the BOSSs with absolute strength in just a few swords. It brought him a lot of experience and several good quasi-legendary equipment. Lin Mo felt that the BOSSs were all good people, coming from afar to give equipment and experience. 5 days later, the light of upgrading rose from Lin Mo again. After level 75, the experience requirement increased again, and the leveling speed slowed down. Especially after several world BOSSs were killed, the monsters in the Azure Dragon Sea seemed to have received some signal and no longer came to trouble Lin Mo. Even later, they would run away when they smelled the breath of the Undead Legion. They were very fast in the water. Except for the Headless Knight who could chase them with the charge skill, they could not catch up at other times. As a result, Lin Mo's leveling speed slowed down significantly. It took 5 full days to level up. Lin Mo stood in the water, and the upgrade did not bring much joy. Not only did the feeling of being suppressed appear again, but he also failed to find the godhead of the Holy Sound God. The worst situation has still appeared. It seems that the godhead is no longer in the Azure Dragon Sea. Then the most likely thing is that it flowed into the vortex. Lin Mo's expression was a little dignified. He really didn't want to conflict with the god in the vortex now. It wasn't because he was afraid, but because Lin Mo didn't want to act rashly without knowing the other party's details. After all, the other party had the ability to attack the soul, which was the most troublesome thing. Lin Mo thought for a long time and decided to look again. In case he missed something. He flew away from the Azure Dragon Sea and came to the sky above the wild continent. He repositioned himself in the air, drilled back into the Azure Dragon Sea again, and began to search. Another 5 days passed, and there was still no discovery. Really going to the vortex? Lin Mo thought for a long time and took out Antares' dragon scale. With a slight movement of his soul power, he activated the dragon scale, Antares. There was no response. Lin Mo knew that this guy must have fallen asleep again, so he called again. After calling more than a dozen times, there was finally movement from Antares. "I'm dreaming, spit it out. If it's nothing, I'll swallow you." Antares' voice was full of morning grumpiness, very annoyed at being woken up. Lin Mo didn't care about its temper, and went straight to the point. "Do you know about the Great Vortex in the lower space?" "Of course I know. Antares snorted, in this world, there is nothing this dragon doesn't know. Lin Moyu said, can you not brag? Antares snorted again, except for your matters. Lin Moyu said, I'm going to the Great Vortex. The dragon scales vibrated non-stop, and a dragon's roar came, accompanied by Antares's angry voice, what are you going there for, looking for death? Lin Moyu said, why? That's where the great god of myriad souls sleeps, do you know what a great god is? Brat, if you want to die, don't do it like this. Antares was a little anxious, afraid that Lin Moyu had already gone. Lin Moyu said, don't worry, I'm just thinking about it, I haven't gone yet. Hearing Lin Moyu say this, Antares was relieved a little, don't go, that guy hasn't woken up yet, anyone who gets close will be considered an enemy. I know. Regarding this point, Lin Moyu had already guessed, and what Antares said was indeed not much different from what he had guessed. Antares suddenly asked, why are you going there? There's nothing there. Lin Moyu explained how the Kunlun great god had gotten rid of him. Antares said, then you don't need to go, the Holy Sound God's divinity is in Azure Dragon Sea, not in the Great Vortex. But I searched all over Azure Dragon Sea and didn't find it. Lin Moyu frowned, Antares wouldn't talk nonsense, could it be that he really had some omissions? Antares chuckled, anyway, I've already told you, as for whether you can find it, it's up to you. I'm going back to sleep, don't bother me if there's nothing. Bother me again, and I'll really eat you, don't think I don't dare. After speaking, Antares cut off the connection. Lin Moyu chuckled, it's not that Antares doesn't dare, but that he can't. This guy only uses his mouth. But fortunately, he asked Antares, otherwise, if he had rashly gone over, there would really be big trouble. Since Antares said that the divinity is still in Azure Dragon Sea, then it must be there. I've obviously searched twice, could there still be any omissions? Lin Moyu recalled his search process, confirming that there were no omissions. There must be something missed. Think again. Lin Moyu chose to believe Antares's words, feeling that there must still be a place he hadn't noticed. Lin Moyu pondered the problem in the sea, recalling all the details. The power of the soul slowly flowed, transmitting all the surrounding situations without missing a single detail. Suddenly, Lin Moyu discovered a problem he had once paid attention to and then ignored. Ocean current. Although the bottom of Azure Dragon Sea is calm, there are also ocean currents. Near the vortex, the ocean current flows towards the vortex. At that time, Lin Moyu was worried whether the ocean current would bring the divinity over. Later, as he moved away from the vortex, the ocean current disappeared, and Lin Moyu determined that the divinity had not entered the vortex. After that, he never paid attention to the ocean current again. Now he found that the ocean current still exists, but it is weaker. The subtle ocean current has little power, but it exists all year round. The divinity fell into Azure Dragon Sea for who knows how many years, and it is possible that it was slowly carried away by the ocean current. Finally grasping the key point, with a gleam in his eyes, Lin Moyu sank to the bottom of the sea. Standing on the seabed, Lin Moyu carefully felt the changes in the ocean current with the power of his soul. He found that all the ocean currents were running in one direction. Then needless to say, the divinity must also be taken in that direction. Unless the ocean current has changed in these years. Lin Moyu followed the ocean current and finally came to the convergence point of the ocean current. Here he sensed a crack. Underwater canyon, deep sea trench. Lin Moyu smiled dumbly, it turned out there was an underwater canyon. He was too clever for his own good. He originally thought that being 50,000 meters from the seabed, there would be no omissions up and down. Even if the divinity was accidentally obtained by a monster and taken to the ice layer under the wild continent, he could sense it. He just forgot that there might be canyons and trenches on the seabed. It's hard to say how deep the trench is. It might be more than 100,000 meters, so naturally he couldn't sense it. Now that he found it, Lin Moyu didn't hesitate and went straight in. The scale of the trench is not small, and there are also many monsters here. Lin Moyu brought his undead army and these monsters fled frantically. In these few days, Lin Moyu has swept the bottom of Azure Dragon Sea several times, and the monsters are afraid of him. The depth of the trench exceeded Lin Moyu's imagination, at least more than 80,000 meters. The pressure has reached an astonishing level, even Lin Moyu's endurance has reached its limit. The undead army stopped at 50,000 meters, and the Lich General kept healing the undead army. Here, they are constantly suffering damage. If the undead army also came down together, the Lich General might not have time to heal 2.1, and wouldn't last long. There is no battle now, they don't need to participate, stay here on standby at any time, and enter the battle in full health when needed. Lin Moyu came to the bottom of the trench alone, and walked forward along the ocean current. Dang, ding, the soul heard a melodious sound, and the holy sound wind chime emitted a faint light, illuminating this dark world. It's really here. Lin Moyu walked along the ocean current, there was resistance in the ocean, and the speed was not as fast as other places. 100 kilometers wouldn't take too long. The sense became stronger and stronger, and a faint light appeared in front of him. Lin Moyu saw the divinity, which was lying on the seabed, reflecting each other with the holy sound wind chime. The moment Lin Moyu saw the divinity, a huge force surged, like a heavy punch hitting Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu didn't feel it, he knew it was a warning, not a real attack. A pair of red glowing eyes appeared above the divinity, staring at Lin Moyu. Then countless monsters appeared in the soul's perception. Those monsters that originally avoided him all rushed back. Chapter 652, it's the upper limit of oneself, not the upper limit of skills. The holy sound god's divinity releases a dazzling light. The divinity is the foundation of the gods, and possesses extremely strong power. This monster obviously absorbed the power of the divinity and became extremely powerful. Just like the poisonous python at that time, it also became powerful after absorbing the power of the poison god. But no matter how powerful, it is nothing more than that in Lin Moyu's eyes. In the lower space, except for a few special existences, there is a limit to how strong they can be. At least the monster in front of him does not belong to a special existence. In the soul's perception, this is a huge octopus. Each tentacle is more than 1,000 meters long, and the tentacles have huge suckers. There is also dark liquid flowing in the translucent body, and Lin Moyu guessed it should be poisonous. 3. Octopus-like monsters all spray ink, and it's likely the one in front of me does too. Lin Moyu didn't take it seriously, but it seemed to sense the threat, its pair of scarlet eyes fixed on Lin Moyu. Its 8 tentacles surrounded the divine spark, but it didn't dare to touch it. Outside the divine spark, there was a power of law entwined, as if protecting itself from being touched by external objects. Lin Moyu suddenly thought of the spotless state within the Kunlun divine palace. It shouldn't have been the Kunlun gods doing, but rather the holy sound gods. The holy sound god, with her cleanliness obsession, wouldn't even allow defiled objects to touch the divine spark she left behind. The holy sound bell in Lin Moyu's hand continuously emitted a soft chime, resonating with the divine spark. The holy sound bell seemed to have met an old friend it hadn't seen in many years, constantly calling out. The divine spark was the same, constantly breathing in the holy sound bell. Lin Moyu felt longing, eagerness, and a desire to return from the two. The movements of the two became louder and louder, erupting with astonishing light. The holy sound bell vibrated continuously, wanting to break free from Lin Moyu's grasp and fly towards the divine spark. Don't worry, I will take you back. After he spoke these words with the sound of his soul, the holy sound bell and the divine spark suddenly became quiet. A large number of monsters had already arrived, surrounding Lin Moyu. These monsters seemed to recognize Lin Moyu, knowing how terrifying he was, but they had no choice but to come because of the octopus's summons. Lin Moyu flicked out a detection spell, landing it on the octopus. Let me see, after absorbing a trace of the divine spark's power, how much you can grow. The power of the divine spark was not easy to absorb, it was the power of a god, and it was very difficult to utilize. Especially a divine spark like that of the holy sound god, possessing laws, belonging to a high-level divine spark. Deep Sea Giant Octopus World-Class Boss. Level 88. Strength 2,800,000. Agility 1,500,000. Spirit 1 million. Constitution 2,700,000. Skills: Death Entanglement, Poisonous Ink, Fatal Suction Cups. Traits: Water Element Immunity, 50% reduction in poison element damage, 50% reduction in physical damage, Limb Severance Substitute. Total attributes of 8 million, belonging to the top world-class boss. Below the god level, it can be called invincible. Its attributes were stronger than other level 88 bosses, increasing by about 800,000 attributes. It seems that this was the result of it absorbing the power of the divine spark. The power of the divine spark was too difficult to utilize, even after absorbing it for so many years, it only increased this little bit of attributes. The deep-sea giant octopus violently waved its 8 tentacles, like a signal, and all the monsters attacked Lin Moyu at the same time. Lin Moyu's heart stirred, and he activated a skill. Skill: Summon Skeleton King. Skill: Power Convergence. This was the first time using it after obtaining the power extraction skill. The undead legion was above, tens of thousands of meters away. The water pressure here was too great, not suitable for the undead legion to fight. However, Lin Moyu summoned the Skeleton King before using the power convergence skill. It wasn't to use the Skeleton King to fight, but rather Lin Moyu wanted to test whether he could inherit the Skeleton King's skills and attributes. The Skeleton King's attributes came from the skeleton. If he could inherit its attributes again, wouldn't that be double inheritance? If it really worked, then it would be a cheat-like skill. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Lin Moyu's body, a god-level aura rolling out. Power Convergence Fusion Degree 99% consumes soul power, gathers the power of the summoned creature, inherits all skills of the summoned creature. The attributes after using the skills are only limited by the user's own soul level. When killing enemies in the power convergence state, you can harvest the enemy's soul to replenish your own soul consumption and increase your own soul level. The power convergence skill was a source skill, with a fusion degree of 99%. It could ignore the limitations of laws and was only limited by Lin Moyu's soul level. At the same time, there was no cooldown time, only consuming soul power. As long as the soul power was sufficient, he could maintain this state all year round. Soul power is consumed so quickly. This was the first time using a source skill, and the speed of consuming soul power was quite astonishing. His own soul power could only last for 10 seconds at most. However, this skill could replenish its own soul consumption by killing enemies, and even increase its own soul level. As for how much it could replenish and how much it could increase, it was unknown. After using the power convergence skill, Lin Moyu checked his attributes. Strength: 3 million plus 500,000. Agility: 3 million plus 500,000. Spirit: 3 million plus 500,000. Constitution: 3 million plus 500,000. Skills: Godslayer, Elemental Riot, Absolute Defense, Berserk Strike, Soul Snipe, Legion Enhancement, Legion Healing, Elimination, Charge, Group Defense. Total attributes of 12 million, this was the attribute of a level 92 god-level expert. Limited by the soul level, 12 million was Lin Moyu's current attribute limit, but it was not the limit of the skills. As Lin Moyu's soul level increased, this skill would only become stronger. What surprised Lin Moyu the most was that the Monarch's Scepter was still useful, and its bonus attributes were not affected. In this way, Lin Moyu's attributes broke through the limit of level 92, and even exceeded the level of level 93. Attributes of 14 million, already in the category of level 94. It was unexpected that the Monarch's Scepter could still be used, while the Skeleton King's skill inheritance was expected. He took out a platinum-level greatsword from the storage space. For Lin Moyu, the level of the sword didn't matter, as long as it was a sword. Skill: Elemental Riot. Without needing to lock onto any target, Lin Moyu detonated the skill within the largest range, a comprehensive strike. The calm Azure Dragon Sea suddenly became explosive. The trench canyon exploded, and most of the Azure Dragon Sea was boiling. Countless monsters were instantly killed, turning into soul power that poured in. It was as if a giant hand had plundered all the souls of the dead monsters. Experience was increasing, the duration of the skill was also increasing, the soul power consumed by the power convergence skill was instantly replenished, and there was even a surplus. Lin Moyu also felt an increase in his soul level, although it was only a negligible increase, it was still good. If he continued to use the power convergence skill to kill enemies in the future, over time, it would also have a small benefit to his soul. This was a magical skill, the source skill was far more magical than he thought. With one strike, tens of thousands of monsters were instantly killed. The remaining monsters fled in panic, screaming. The deep-sea giant octopus was also injured in the explosion. Lin Moyu's attack was too strong, even if it didn't lock onto it, it couldn't withstand it. The ink in its body seeped out from the wound, dyeing the seawater black. It was extremely terrified, not understanding how the guy in front of it could be so powerful. It didn't need to understand, a bright sword light had already flashed on Lin Moyu's sword. Skill: Godslayer. The deep-sea giant octopus felt the threat of death, turned around and fled with a scream. At this time, things like the divine spark were not important. What was the use of having the divine spark, when its little life was about to be lost? The sword light flashed on the body of the deep-sea giant octopus, and its body was cut into pieces like tofu. But the next second, its body returned to its original state as if time had reversed. It's just that one of its 8 tentacles was missing. The characteristic of the deep-sea giant octopus, limb replacement for death. Lin Mo smiled. 8 tentacles, can replace death 8 times, not bad skill. He clenched his fist, and a skill that hadn't been used for a long time was activated. Skill, Bone Prison. This skill hasn't been used for a long time. Since his combat power became stronger, the role of this skill has become less and less. But now, Lin Mo used it again. The deep-sea giant octopus, which was fleeing for its life, had a moment of stagnation. The level 76 bone prison could only trap it for about half a second. Half a second is long enough to be fatal. Lin Mo activated the charge skill, instantly swept across thousands of meters, and caught up with the deep-sea giant octopus. The giant sword waved, and countless sword lights slashed out. With level 94 attributes, he completely defeated the deep-sea giant octopus. Even without using skills, every attack has powerful destructive power. The deep-sea giant octopus was shrouded in sword light, screaming incessantly, unable to escape or fight back. The tentacles broke one by one, and each break represented a death. In less than 10 seconds, the sword light disappeared, and the deep-sea giant octopus had been completely cut into pieces. All 9 limb replacements for death were exhausted, completely dead. Chapter 653, Water God Palace, Divine Statue. Among the many world bosses that Lin Mo had killed, the deep-sea giant octopus should be the most aggrieved one to die. Because of the existence of the replacement death characteristic, it would not be instantly killed. It was really just dismembered alive sword by sword, without even the ability to resist from beginning to end. Using the power-gathering skill, it only took a dozen seconds to harvest a wave of experience. Killed the deep-sea giant octopus, experience plus ***. Obtained deep-sea longsword. Obtained deep-sea ring. Obtained water crystal. Obtained water god stone. Deep-sea longsword. Quasi-legendary weapon, all attributes plus 90000, Knight class skill amplification plus 160%. Attached skill, Water Entanglement. Water Entanglement slows down the target's movement speed, lasts for 30 seconds, cooldown time is 5 minutes. Deep Sea Ring, quasi-legendary jewelry, all attributes plus 20000, Water Element skill amplification 50%, Water Element damage reduction 20%, Water Element immunity increase 30%. Water Crystal, legendary material, crystal filled with water elements, can be used to create legendary equipment. Water God Stone, permanently increases water element immunity to 80%, has a chance to obtain a water element skill. Looking at the harvest, Lin Mo's eyes were slightly surprised. It has been a long time since he obtained items that could increase elemental immunity. Now his poison element, light element, and electric element are completely immune. Among the common elements, there are still 3 major elements of water, fire, and wind that have not kept up, only 50% immunity. Increasing elemental immunity is not an easy task. This time, the water element immunity was finally increased to 80%, which is the conventional meaning of the immunity cap. Without special opportunities, immunity would end here, and it would be difficult to improve further. Lin Mo put away the power-gathering skill, returned to the bottom of the sea, and came to the side of the godhead. The godhead is only the size of a fist, surrounded by laws. The laws are aggressive, and not everyone is qualified to touch the godhead of a high-level god. Lin Mo didn't want to fight against the laws, took out the holy sound bell and said in a low voice, "Put away the laws, I will take you back to Kunlun." The holy sound bell hummed, and the godhead of the holy sound god also hummed. Then the laws disappeared. It seems that the holy sound god should still have a remnant soul left behind. From the reaction of the holy sound bell and the godhead, Lin Mo guessed that although the holy sound god had fallen, she had not completely fallen. Perhaps she used some method to preserve a trace of her remnant soul. Otherwise, it would be impossible to understand what he was saying. He picked up the godhead, put it together with the holy sound bell, and then put it away. The transaction with the Kunlun god was finally completed for the most part, and now he was just waiting to go back. Lin Mo slowly ascended, preparing to leave. Suddenly he stopped again. The ocean current has changed. Lin Mo keenly sensed that the ocean current at the bottom of the sea had changed. Soul perception is much more sensitive than the naked eye, and he very clearly sensed these subtle changes. The body of the deep-sea giant octopus fell to the bottom of the trench, and a large amount of ink sweat flowed out of its body. A large area of the seabed was dyed black, so thick that it couldn't be dissolved. It faintly glowed with green light, and you could feel the poison contained in it. The ink was not soluble in water, and at first it was in clumps, forming an irregular area. According to the previous ocean current, it should have been buried in the trench. But now the ocean current is general, carrying them to swim above. The ocean current is only a small change, but why did it change now rather than earlier or later? From the landing point of the Godhead, Lin Mo judged that the ocean current should not have changed for hundreds of thousands of years. Now that it has changed, it must be abnormal. The ocean current left the trench all the way and headed towards the wild continent. Below the wild continent is a layer of ice hundreds of meters thick, separating the Azure Dragon Sea from the wild continent. Now the ocean current is surging towards the ice layer. Lin Mo followed the ocean current and saw a hole broken under the ice layer. A large amount of seawater is pouring into it. Seawater backflow. Lin Mo looked at it a few times and found that this was not the case. It seems that there is a force that takes a lot of seawater into it. Lin Mo thought for a while and decided to go in and take a look. At the same time, to be on the safe side, he still took Antares' dragon scales in his hand. The undead army has been put away. This place is not far from the sea surface, only less than a kilometer deep, so that little pressure is not enough to cause damage to Lin Mo. Following the backflowing seawater, Lin Mo moved quickly in the ice layer. Soon, Lin Mo felt the aura of a god. It's the water god. A long time ago, Lin Mo obtained the water god's flute and the water god's key from the water element dungeon. Through the soul's perception, he could feel that these two items possessed the aura of a god. It's exactly the same as the aura he feels now. Lin Mo was thinking, and suddenly his eyes lit up. He followed the water flow into a huge frozen space, which was hundreds of meters high and more than a kilometer deep. In the center of the space, there was a light blue palace. The palace was made purely of ice, exuding an astonishing chill. All the water flowing into here was instantly vaporized and disappeared. It wasn't vaporization caused by high temperature, but rather it was decomposed into pure water elements, and then flew towards the ice palace. The water god's palace. Lin Mo Yu quickly guessed the origin of this palace. Within the palace, the aura of the gods became even more concentrated. However, after careful sensing, Lin Mo Yu discovered that these divine auras lacked agility, and didn't seem to be controlled by anyone. The water god shouldn't have awakened yet. Lin Mo Yu quickly made a judgment. He had already dealt with several gods and was fully capable of distinguishing the different states of gods. He could judge from the aura revealed by the gods whether they were dead, awakened, or asleep. Gods were nothing more than these three states. Lin Mo Yu walked to the palace gate and took out the water god's key. The water god's key wasn't shaped like a key, but rather a fist-sized piece of ice, with a few drops of flowing liquid in the center of the ice. As soon as the key was taken out, it immediately flew towards the palace and merged into the palace gate. Then the palace gate opened automatically, and a chill rushed out from the palace, hitting him head-on. The bone armor naturally activated, blocking the chill. The palace hadn't been opened for who knows how many years, and the amount of water elements accumulated inside was astonishing. These chills were the manifestation of water elements. Water has thousands of forms, some heavy, some light, some icy, some hot. From the information obtained so far, the water god was better at driving low-temperature water elements. The palace gate opened, and Lin Mo Yu walked in. Lin Mo Yu wasn't afraid or worried about the water god. He didn't sense the aura of laws, and the water god was at most a level 95 middle-level god. With such a god, Lin Mo Yu could potentially kill him if he fought desperately. The water god's palace was entirely made of ice, with fountains everywhere, constantly spewing water elements and divine aura. Hundreds of huge ice sculptures stood in the palace, extremely exquisite. Lin Mo Yu had also seen various exquisite carvings in the water god's courtyard at the time, which he still remembered vividly. The water god's understanding of beauty had reached a considerable height. Water elements permeated, and the divine aura enveloped everything as Lin Mo Yu admired the statues. The statues were of various types, including warriors holding swords, giants wielding axes, and gods holding flames, each one extremely exquisite and lifelike. Each statue represented a god. There are really quite a few gods. Lin Moyu looked at the statues and sighed softly. He knew that there used to be many gods in the world, but he didn't expect there to be so many. Just these statues alone represented hundreds of gods. A sweep of soul power revealed a total of 681 statues, representing 681 gods. Perhaps there were still gods who hadn't been sculpted. Gods were equivalent to the human race's divine rank professionals, the abyss's demon lords, and the dragon race's dragon kings. The human race only had a few divine rank professionals, at most a few dozen. Even at its peak, it was only 100. There were more demon lords and dragon kings, with demon lords reportedly numbering 300, and dragon kings at most 100. The three races combined didn't have as many gods. But for some reason, the gods had all fallen. The gods who were still alive today had also hidden themselves and rarely appeared in the world. Lin Moyu had only seen one truly living god, and he had even killed him. If the gods were still alive today, then there would be nothing for the three races to do, right? Passing through the statues, he arrived at the second courtyard of the palace. Here, there were also many statues, but they were no longer gods, but rather huge monsters. A huge monster statue was placed in the center, and Lin Moyu was shocked when he looked at it. Claw of the King of the Wild Beasts. No, it's not the King of the Wild Beasts. Lin Moyu immediately denied his words. He had personally seen the King of the Wild Beasts, and it was 7 or 8 parts similar to the statue in front of him, but not completely the same. His gaze searched among the statues, and he saw another statue not far away. That was the King of the Wild Beasts, which was much smaller in terms of temperament and scale than the one in the center. Lin Moyu instantly confirmed that the statue in the center was a being even more powerful than the King of the Wild Beasts. Chapter 654. Sighing is useless, the water god awakens. The statues in the second courtyard of the palace were not as numerous as those in the first courtyard. There were only 50 or so, and they were all kinds of monsters. The most central monster had 7 similarities with the King of the Wild Beasts, but it was even stronger than the King of the Wild Beasts. Lin Moyu found the statue of the King of the Wild Beasts near it, and also found the statues of other wild beasts. From the statues, Lin Moyu distinguished the differences between the wild beasts. In addition to the different shapes, the most important thing was the fur. The wild beasts had several thick and long hairs on their heads, which looked very strong and different from the hairs on other parts of their bodies. The King of the Wild Beasts had 6 hairs on its head. Ordinary small wild beasts had 3 to 5 hairs. The wild beast statue in the very center had a full 9 hairs. The number of hairs should represent the strength of the wild beasts. Wild beasts with 3 to 5 hairs should be ordinary wild beasts. 6 hairs is the King of the Wild Beasts. Then this one. Lin Moyu stood in front of the statue in the center and muttered to himself, this should be the emperor among the wild beasts. From this, it can be analyzed that the wild beasts are a powerful group, and they are strictly hierarchical and extremely combative. According to this statue, the Great War of that year should have unfolded between the gods and the wild beasts. The gods are very likely to have fallen because of this. In the Thunder God's dungeon, there were similar scenes. But what are these? The mystery of the war between the gods was partially revealed because of these statues. But in addition to the wild beast statues, there were also some other 210 statues in the courtyard. They looked like insects, various types of huge insects. The smallest of them was more than 2 meters tall, and the largest was more than 10 meters. The statues were too vivid, and the insects looked extremely terrifying, seemingly even more terrifying than the wild beasts. Based on previous guesses about the wild beasts, Lin Moyu felt that these insects might also be one of the reasons for the fall of the gods. But only the statues couldn't analyze more information. Lin Moyu continued to walk forward and entered the third courtyard. There were also many statues here, all of which were human statues. Human professionals, wearing various equipment and holding weapons, each with an awe-inspiring aura. These were all divine rank experts. Lin Moyu had this thought in his mind, if he didn't reach the divine rank, he wouldn't be qualified to become a statue. 300 statues. Lin Moyu counted, there were a full 300 statues, representing 300 divine rank experts. Lin Moyu was somewhat surprised, I didn't expect there to be so many divine level experts among the human race back then. The statues here are arranged in a triangular pattern, with only 2 statues at the apex. Rows of them are neatly arranged, extending backward. Lin Moyu saw clearly that the two statues at the very tip should be the two strongest individuals in the human race at that time. The number of people behind increased, and their strength correspondingly decreased. The great god Kunlun once said that geniuses emerged in the human race at that time, and it didn't take a few years from job change to becoming a god. It seems that this is indeed the case. Compared to now, that was truly a glorious era. Lin Moyu respectfully bowed to these statues of the human race, they were all his ancestors. Regardless of the reason, they all paid a bloody price for this world and for the human race. The faith of the human race will not be broken, and the inheritance will not be cut off. Farewell, esteemed ancestors. After Lin Moyu finished speaking, he continued forward and entered the fourth courtyard. In his mind, Lin Moyu had already connected the statues in the three courtyards, forming a picture in his mind, recreating the scene of that year based on his guesses. Gods and the human race joined forces to besiege the desolate beasts and those insect monsters. That battle must have been extremely tragic. The final result should have been the victory of the human race and the gods. Otherwise, this world would not have become what it is now. But the price was also unimaginable. There was only one statue in the fourth courtyard. The statue was more than 20 meters high and depicted a female figure. Within the statue, a woman was also frozen in ice. Water god. Lin Moyu felt the divine aura on her body and judged that she should be the water god herself. However, just in case, he still used the detection skill. Water god, sleeping state. The detection skill could not return the specific attributes of the water god, but it was enough for Lin Moyu to confirm that the one frozen was the water god. The water god was beautiful, not in a stunning way, but in a way that combined the most beautiful qualities of the human race. It was almost impossible to find any flaws in her. Even in a frozen state, she exuded a gentle femininity that aroused pity. Lin Moyu had to admit that the water god was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He took out the water god's flute, and the water god's aura immediately had a slight fluctuation. The water god's flute emitted a gentle light, flowing like water into the water god's embrace. Unlike the intensity of the god of thunder and lightning, everything here exuded a gentle, watery aura. The water god's flute flew from Lin Moyu's hand, touched the ice, and silently merged into it, landing in the water god's hand. The huge ice sculpture melted in the blink of an eye, turning into water elements and dissipating into the air. The whole process happened in an instant, but it still seemed gentle, without the slightest hint of fiery energy. After the ice seal disappeared, the water god floated in midair, a soft sigh sounded, and the water god opened her eyes. Light blue eyes, beautiful to the extreme, indescribable in words. Lin Moyu was momentarily lost in thought. The original water god was already perfect enough, but now, she had an added touch of stunning beauty and fragility. The soft sigh made people feel even more heartbroken, as if she had endless grievances. The water god looked at Lin Moyu, "Thank you for awakening me." Her voice and tone were as gentle as her appearance. Although Lin Moyu felt that the water god had no malice towards him, he was still wary. After the water god woke up, the water element was constantly pouring over. The water god's aura was constantly fluctuating, rising and falling, very unstable. Lin Moyu knew that this was not normal, the water god's injuries had not recovered. "Respected water god, has your injury recovered?" The water god slowly landed from the air, and at the same time, another sigh. There was no answer, but there was also an answer. Lin Moyu could feel her helplessness. "Is your injury so serious?" Sadness appeared in the water god's eyes. "The foundation is injured, it is difficult to heal." Her sorrow permeated the palace, and the water element also stirred up waves. Lin Moyu found that in just this short period of time, the water god's aura was even more unstable than before. It seemed that waking her up was not a good thing for her. "Is there no other way?" Lin Moyu asked. "Yes, but it's difficult." The water god smiled. "We gods are different from you humans. Human healing techniques have no effect on us. Our foundation is in the divine soul, which is what you humans call the soul." Lin Moyu said, "If it's difficult, it means there is a way. Tell me, maybe I can help." Lin Moyu was not a good person, but he was not an evil person either. Currently, the water god had fought side by side with the sages of the human race, and he had awakened her. So if Lin Moyu could help, he was willing to help. The water god said, "If the god of life was still there, there might be a chance. It's a pity, she was the first of us to fall. But the god of life will not truly fall, she should have a chance to be resurrected." If I can hold on until that time. The water god's voice suddenly stopped. She saw the scepter in Lin Moyu's hand, the scepter of Genesis. Lin Moyu shook his head. She should have completely fallen. Surprise appeared in the water god's eyes. Even the scepter of Genesis was shattered. It seems that something else happened later. Can you tell me what happened? There was nothing that could not be said. Lin Moyu roughly talked about what happened in the corpse world. The water god showed a look of disappointment. It seems that there is no chance. Lin Moyu shook his head. Besides the god of life, is there no other way? The water god let out a sigh. Maybe there is. Listening to the water god's sigh, the water elements in the world also seemed to be a little sad. Lin Moyu's will was firm and unmoved. He did not like this kind of lament. He preferred to solve problems if there were any. Sighing was the most useless way. Lin Moyu said, I will see if there is another way. Thank you. Actually, whether I can be resurrected or not is not important. The water god said softly. She did not seem to value life and death very much, but she was still grateful that Lin Moyu was willing to help. Lin Moyu asked, I would like to ask, why did your place of slumber not appear, but now there is a sudden movement? He knew that although the water god was in a deep sleep, she was not completely ignorant of the outside world. At least she knew some of the things that happened around her, and she also knew how long she had been asleep. The water god said quietly, it is because of the divinity of the god of holy sound. She is a high-level god, and the power of divinity is strong, suppressing my instinctive will. There was also a strict hierarchy between gods, low-level gods, middle-level gods, high-level gods, great gods. Each level difference meant a completely different status and strength. If she was not asleep, the god of holy sound's divinity would not have much impact. But she was also seriously injured and asleep, and the god of holy sound's divinity could affect her. Chapter 655. Not even knowing who the enemy is. Lin Moyu did not quite understand the relationship between the gods. However, it could be analyzed from the water god's words that the relationship between the gods was both simple and complex. The various factions are distinct, with the water god being the leading figure of the water element. It can be said that all the gods of the water element lineage are her subordinates. When Lin Moyu heard this information, he was a little surprised. Lin Moyu was surprised that the water god's strength was not as powerful as he had imagined. As the leading figure of a lineage of elemental gods, why is she only a low-level god, not even a mid-level god? The water god guessed what Lin Moyu was thinking and revealed a slight smile. Do you think I'm very weak? Lin Moyu didn't deny it. Indeed, as the head of a lineage of elemental gods, you are a bit weak. The water god smiled, a smile that caused all flowers to bloom, a beauty that stirred the soul. Her soft voice slowly sounded, you are very honest, that's good. Back then, we were also so honest with you human race professionals, which is why we were able to achieve the final victory. Our wind, water, fire, electricity, and light 5 elemental gods shouldn't be this weak. Unfortunately, at the start of the war, our powers were stripped away, our divine positions fell, and we became low-level gods. If not, this battle wouldn't have been so difficult. Lin Moyu was a little puzzled. Stripped of power, who did it? The water god gently shook her head. I don't know, no one knows. No one knows who did it, and no one knows what method was used, but we fell from our pedestals anyway. Then guess, what level were we at in the beginning? The water god seemed a little more relaxed at this time and was willing to joke with Lin Moyu. Her condition was very good, unhurried and unperturbed, as if she didn't care about her life fading away. In fact, Lin Moyu knew that what she should be doing now was to continue to sleep. That way, she could live for many, many more years. Thousands or even tens of thousands of years wouldn't be a problem. But the water god didn't want to sleep, she wanted to talk and chat. Lin Moyu thought for a moment, you should have been transcendent god level back then. The water god chuckled softly, you are very smart, you actually guessed it right. She wasn't surprised, as if she had expected Lin Moyu to guess it. The levels of gods, after high gods, are great gods. Great gods are at the same level as the human race's half-step transcendent gods. After great gods, they are also called transcendent gods, equivalent to the human race's transcendent ones. Meaning they have surpassed ordinary god level and reached another realm. Lin Moyu wasn't guessing randomly, but had a basis. Why did the mysterious existence target these elemental lineage god leaders? And the water god said that if their strength was still there, this battle wouldn't be so difficult. How could someone who could become the head of a lineage of gods be weak? Kunlun great god wasn't targeted, but they were. Then there's only one answer, they were stronger than the great gods, at the same level as the human race's transcendent ones. Lin Moyu said, can you tell me, what exactly happened back then? The water god looked at Lin Moyu, do you really want to know? We had an agreement with the human race to bury this matter in history, only those who reach the great god level can know. Although your strength is good, your level is too low, knowing too early won't do you any good. It might undermine your confidence. Lin Moyu replied equally seriously, I've heard similar words many times. From the first time I entered the fire god dungeon, the first time I discovered this secret, I've been searching. I really want to know the answer, to know everything that happened back then. Don't worry about it affecting me, I'm very strong. I've seen many strong people, from this world, and from outside this world. For example, Antares, you should have heard of this name. Lin Moyu took out Antares' dragon scale, which had Antares' aura on it, and he believed the water god would definitely recognize it. Antares has existed for many years, from the last era, and possibly even more ancient. Antares also witnessed that great battle, but that guy refused to say. Deliberately, just to make Lin Moyu depressed. Lin Moyu asked many times, and Antares evaded the question, and finally Lin Moyu couldn't stand it and decided not to ask anymore. When the water god saw the dragon scale, her eyes had a slight glimmer, you can actually get the Lord's token, you are really amazing. Okay, since you want to know, then I'll tell you. Lin Moyu was slightly happy, the thing he had been pursuing for so long could finally get an answer. The water god pointed to the yard outside, you saw the ice sculptures in the 3 courtyards you entered, right? Lin Moyu nodded, I saw them, the one in the middle should be the enemy, I saw the desolate beasts. The 1st and 3rd courtyards are the gods and human race professionals, launching an encirclement against the enemy. The water god wore a beautiful smile, her voice like water droplets falling to the ground, crisp and floating out, your understanding is good, that's indeed the case, they invaded back then, and we joined forces with the human race to fight them. Our few transcendent god-level gods were stripped of their power, fell from our pedestals, and became low-level gods. I was unable to fight, so I made ice sculptures to record the situation at that time. If you have reached the great god level, which is your half-step transcendent god, you can get all the information from that time from the ice sculptures. This way, even if I have fallen, this information will be known. The water god had made preparations, even if she fell, completely died, someone would eventually discover this place and obtain the corresponding information. The water god slowly spoke about what happened back then. This history should be buried, but it shouldn't be buried. For the entire world, this was a worldwide disaster. Not only the human race, not only the gods, but also the entire world. Back then, foreign enemies invaded, and the world was in danger. The strongest gods were stripped of their power, fell from their pedestals, and their strength was greatly damaged. And there was only one transcendent in the human race, unable to shoulder the heavy responsibility. And the level of this battle was too high, those qualified to participate were at least god level. And low-level god level was just cannon fodder. From the beginning of the battle, the gods and the human race were in a passive position and were badly beaten. If this continued, the human race and the gods would definitely lose, and the destruction of the world was imminent. AAA0 request fresh flowers AAAAAAAAAAAA. The worlds will begin to recover. As the worlds will recovered, the power of the world began to stir. The world's will had no thoughts, only instinct. It instinctively sensed danger. Under the influence of the power of the world, geniuses emerged from the human race, and a large number of job changers became gods. True geniuses achieved high-level god level, half-step transcendent god. In just a few years, more than 10 transcendent gods appeared. At that time, only the desolate beasts invaded, and the human race had already figured out the details of the desolate beasts, and the more they fought, the smoother it went. This great battle finally developed in a favorable direction for the human race and the gods. At this time, the second invader appeared. The second invader was called the Zerg. Their addition changed the battle situation. The entire battlefield became more dangerous and more bizarre. This great battle lasted for 100 years, the power of the world was exhausted, and the world's will fell back into slumber. After paying an extremely heavy price, the human race barely won the final victory. It's just a pity that the world was devastated. The gods were almost all dead, and those who survived were seriously injured and sleeping. The human race's transcendent gods and half-step transcendent gods all died in battle, and only one high-level god level remained, and he was also seriously injured and dying. The world's power is exhausted, and I don't know how long it will take to recover. The inheritance of the professionals has been cut off, and the recovery of the world's power is slow. Without the support of the world's power, it becomes extremely difficult for the human race to produce geniuses. But at least we won, and the human race will have plenty of time to recuperate. But the good times didn't last long, possibly because the world's barriers were damaged during the war. Only 100 years after the end of the war, the Abyss and the Dragon Realm descended at the same time. The human race once again fell into crisis. But now, the human race has finally survived and is becoming stronger and stronger. The world's power is also recovering, and more geniuses are being born. Although it cannot be compared with the heyday for the time being, as long as there is no such crisis again, the human race will definitely be able to recover completely. Lin Mo spoke after listening to the water god's story. Antares should have been there at the time, right? Didn't it take action? If Antares didn't take action, Lin Mo planned to go back and scold it, that damn guy. The water god said, the Lord took action. If it weren't for the Lord, the final outcome would be hard to say. But the Lord also said that it has concerns and cannot act rashly. Lin Mo also had some guesses about Antares' concerns. Antares came here as if it had been thrown over by the dragon god. Anyway, it wasn't Antares who wanted to come. There were some things that Antares wouldn't say even if it was beaten to death, and Lin Mo was too lazy to ask more. Now he has a rough understanding of what happened. Do you know who wants to invade us? Lin Mo pointed directly to the source of the war. Since they had already fought, they should figure out who the enemy was. The water god sighed and shook her head, I don't know. The fighting almost collapsed the world, and everyone died, but we don't even know who the enemy is. Isn't it funny? Antares doesn't know either. The Lord knows, but can't say. Chapter 656. What does it matter to me if other people's beliefs collapse? Her voice and tone were filled with sorrow. While the water god was speaking, Lin Mo had been watching her eyes. Her eyes were full of memories. When she talked about her comrades and gods dying in front of her, while she was powerless. The water god's eyes were filled with tears and sadness. Lin Mo empathized with her. Although he hadn't experienced it, he could imagine the feeling. Unconsciously, the water god pulled herself out of her memories, the moisture in her eyes disappeared, and she showed a charming smile again. How is it? Are you feeling a little hopeless? Even reaching the level of transcendent god is still nothing. The enemies are so powerful that we can't even figure out their origins. Whether they are desolate beasts or insects, in my opinion, they are just the enemy's vanguard. It could be heard that the water god was somewhat discouraged. After all, she had finally reached the transcendent god level and was the leader of the water element god system. But before the war even started, she was crippled. Until the end of the war, she hadn't even seen the true appearance of the enemy, only some monsters. Perhaps to the enemy behind the scenes, these desolate beasts and insects were just cannon fodder, but to them, they were already a catastrophe. It was precisely because of this that the few remaining gods and human powerhouses agreed to bury this war in history and never mention it again. If the world knew, it would definitely be a catastrophic blow to their beliefs. It would make most people lose hope, and make people feel that no matter how hard they try, what's the use? Even if they become transcendent gods, the result is just fighting with the enemy's cannon fodder. In addition, the world's power was scarce and the world's will was dormant. This world seemed to have no hope. Lin Mo could understand the thoughts of those surviving powerhouses. Some things really shouldn't be said. But he had confidence in himself and didn't look discouraged at all, because he had seen even stronger beings. In the cosmic starry sky, invincible powerhouses were turned to ashes in front of the Azure Dragon Elder. Looking back, his war seemed like a child's game. Lin Mo was confident that as long as he was strong enough, the enemy could be turned to ashes with a flick of his finger. Seeing that the belief in Lin Mo's eyes was still firm, the water god seemed relieved. Lin Mo felt that the water god's aura was becoming more and more unstable. You should continue to sleep. The water god shook her head. I don't want to sleep anymore. I want to take advantage of the last bit of time to go outside and see the world. Lin Mo said, there will be plenty of time to see it in the future. The water god looked at Lin Mo with some curiosity. Even I myself feel hopeless, why do you still have confidence? Lin Mo's tone was certain, hope definitely exists. I once fell into despair, but was saved by the human sages. The human sages who saved me have been dead for thousands of years, but their will still remains, and the will to protect the human race has never been worn away by time. I once saw skills left over from the last era. The last era had resurrection skills, but I don't know if they are useful to you. I have seen the projection of the god of life. She said that hope is always there. I have also seen more terrifying existences. Desolate beasts can be destroyed with a flick of a finger in the eyes of those existences. Lin Mo said a lot. With the water god's intelligence, she could naturally understand this method of persuasion. The water god looked at Lin Mo with her beautiful big eyes, and suddenly laughed, "You are very special. Little guy, then I will listen to you and continue to sleep. Perhaps one day in the future, you can heal my injuries and wake me up again." Lin Mo was equally serious and slowly said, "I will do it." In the water god's pleasant laughter, a huge ice sculpture reappeared and enveloped the water god, and the water god fell asleep again, becoming a sleeping beauty. The water god's aura became stable after falling asleep again. In this state, even if her injuries cannot be recovered, they can be greatly slowed down. At least delaying it for another 1,000 years is not a problem. In the future, it's not just an opportunity, but a certainty. Lin Mo said silently in his heart. A large amount of water was still entering the water god's territory and being transformed into pure water elements. The water elements were absorbed by the sleeping water god, which could further delay the time. Lin Mo left the water god's palace and left the azure dragon sea. Standing in the void, his gaze pierced through the void and swept across the entire lower space. He confirmed his guess from the water god's mouth. A large number of gods were indeed buried and sleeping in the lower space. The war initially broke out in the deep space, and fought all the way to the lower space. The rules in the ancient battlefield were destroyed, and even god-level powerhouses could continue to fight in the lower space. A large number of gods and human god-level professionals fell here. Many gods also chose to sleep here after the war. The lower space was the birthplace of many gods, and now it has become their final destination. It is possible that in so many years of sleep, some gods have permanently fallen asleep, and this place has become a cemetery for gods. Meteorite Continent is the hometown of the god of starry sky. The god of starry sky is not dead, but is sleeping there. The god of wind and the god of thunder are sleeping in the wind and thunder continent. The god of thunder is dead, and the god of wind's life and death are unknown. The god of fire and the god of light are missing, and their whereabouts are unknown. The elemental dungeon is a backup plan left by several gods at the beginning of the war, and it is also their last hope. There are also many godheads that have gone missing after their fall. Lin Mo had already sorted out his thoughts and completely understood what had happened back then. It was that war that turned the entire world into silence. Originally, their era should not have been so weak. Even if transcendent gods were difficult to be born, there shouldn't have been none at all. It wouldn't be like now, where a half-step transcendent god is the limit. They wouldn't be bullied by the abyss demons and mixed-blood dragons, which almost led to the extinction of the human race. The root cause was that great war, those foreign invaders. The funny thing is, even the true identities of the invaders are unknown. Now the traces of the invaders still exist, in the desolate void, the world where the desolate beasts live. The human race's god-level powerhouses all know about this place, but no one dares to go. Desolate beasts can only be killed by using the power of laws. During the Great War, high-level gods created a large number of weapons with the power of laws for those low-level and mid-level gods to use, so that they could also kill ordinary desolate beasts. But now it's impossible, the gods have disappeared, and the human race's professionals are pitifully weak. Lin Mo Yu couldn't help but sigh at this. He didn't expect that what he had been pursuing for so long would turn out to be this answer. For others, it would be a collapse of faith, a message of utter disaster, but it ignited Lin Mo Yu's fighting spirit. He became even more determined in his belief to become stronger, and he would never allow similar tragedies to repeat themselves. Lin Mo Yu activated the mark of the ancient city of Divine Sha, and teleported back to the ancient city of Divine Sha. Among all the human race, he is the only one who possesses the mark of the ancient city of Divine Sha, and can return to the ancient city of Divine Sha at any time in the lower space. Of course, the ancient city mark cannot be used anywhere. If the space is blocked, it will also fail. This is a game of power levels. Lin Moyu only possesses a mark, possessing some small privileges. Lin Moyu is very clear that he has only obtained the initial recognition of the ancient city of Divine Sha. If he wants to obtain further recognition from the ancient city of Divine Sha, or even completely control the ancient city of Divine Sha, he still has a long way to go. The ancient city of Divine Sha is very strong. If it can be completely manipulated, it can probably be compared to a supergod. It's just that the difficulty is too high, and Lin Moyu has no confidence at all. As soon as he returned to the ancient city of Divine Sha, Lin Moyu heard a slightly noisy sound. The sound was a bit chaotic, with a hint of panic. 1. 3. Lin Moyu was puzzled, seeing many professionals standing on the ancient city square. Everyone's attention seemed to be attracted, and his appearance did not attract anyone's attention. Lin Moyu saw that the ancient thunder tower had risen from the ground, and it was even taller than when it was activated last time. The sky suddenly brightened, followed by deafening thunder. A thick bolt of lightning fell, hitting the tip of the ancient thunder tower. Then the lightning spread down from the tip of the tower, covering the entire ancient thunder tower. All the nearby professionals were pushed back. The area within 50 meters of the ancient thunder tower became a restricted area, difficult to approach. Bolts of lightning fell one after another, and the thunder roared non-stop. The lightning became more and more intense, and the area around the ancient thunder tower had turned into a sea of thunder. The sea of thunder swept in with immense pressure, and most professionals couldn't withstand it, directly groaning. Many professionals could not stay in the air and quickly fell. Lin Moyu saw Feng Yiming, who was one of the few professionals still maintaining flight. Lin Moyu came to him, "Team leader Feng, what happened?" Chapter 657. You can't just throw it away and pick it up whenever you want. The pressure was great, coming from the soul. Almost all professionals with a soul level lower than 85 could not fly. Some people were only level 84, but they could maintain flight. While some were already level 86, but could only stand on the ground. The strength of the soul was immediately apparent. Lin Moyu ignored the pressure. This little soul pressure was like a gentle breeze to him, only bringing a faint coolness. Seeing Lin Moyu, Feng Yiming showed surprise. "General Lin, you're here." He was very clear about Lin Moyu's deeds, and knew a little about his strength, which was definitely not weaker than any god-level powerhouse. Moreover, Lin Moyu could control the ancient thunder tower, which was more useful than a god-level powerhouse in the lower space. His arrival was like a stabilizing force, greatly reassuring Feng Yiming. Lin Moyu felt that the ancient thunder tower was absorbing the energy of the lightning, but Lin Moyu didn't know where this lightning came from. This wasn't the wind and thunder continent, and there shouldn't be such powerful electrical elements. Now the sky was full of electrical elements, and there was a tendency to become more and more dense. What happened? Lin Moyu asked. Feng Yiming said quickly, "The ancient thunder tower suddenly rose half a day ago, and then a large number of electrical elements began to appear in the air. The electrical elements increased, and then lightning began to appear, eventually becoming like this." Half a day ago, Lin Moyu calculated in his heart, wasn't he the one who obtained the holy sound god's divinity half a day ago? Then he caused the water god's palace to be revealed. Could the appearance of the ancient thunder tower be related to this? According to Lin Moyu's understanding of the ancient thunder tower, the time when the ancient thunder tower fell from the sky should be later than the Great War of the Gods. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any connection between the two. Feng Yiming obviously didn't know what was going on. The range of the Sea of Thunder was still expanding, gradually spreading outwards, with no sign of stopping. Lin Moyu said in a deep voice, "Tell them to retreat from the ancient city first, so they don't get hurt. I'll go take a look." Saying that, Lin Moyu flew towards the sky. Feng Yiming immediately shouted, "Everyone, retreat from the ancient city." As the Legion commander guarding the ancient city, he had the highest authority here. The army immediately came to maintain order, and the professionals retreated from the ancient city one after another. Lin Moyu flew quickly towards the sky. The air was full of electrical elements, and electric snakes danced wildly. This was a world of thunder and lightning, and any professional who came would be attacked. But for Lin Moyu, who was immune to electrical elements, there was no threat. Lin Moyu shuttled through the thunderclouds and sea of lightning. He knew that the ancient city of Divine Sha was very important to the human race. If there was a change, he had to find out the reason. If the ancient city of Divine Sha was lost, the human race would become passive in the lower space. The existence of the ancient city of Divine Sha has contributed greatly to occupying the Divine Dragon continent. Lin Moyu flew higher and higher, and the electrical elements became more and more dense. The soul pressure increased rapidly. When Lin Moyu rose to an altitude of 10,000 meters, he still didn't reach the end. The soul pressure here had reached level 90. Even God-level powerhouses would feel uncomfortable here. The attack of the electrical elements had also reached the God level, which was enough to cause fatal damage to professionals below God level. Lin Moyu didn't know how high the sky was in the lower space, or where the limit was. When he flew to an altitude of 20,000 meters, he had to stop. The soul pressure was too strong, reaching level 92, which was already his limit, and he couldn't go any higher. This was completely a world of electrical elements. All other elements were driven away, leaving not a trace. Lin Moyu had never seen such a pure elemental world before. Even when the thunder god briefly awakened and the electrical elements erupted, there were still other elements present. At most, electrical elements were the main element. But now, it had really turned into pure electrical elements, with no other elements present. Lin Moyu was in the world of electrical elements, quietly feeling it. From the time he flew out of the ancient city of Divine Sha, the higher he went, the stronger the electrical elements became, until they broke the rules of the primordial battlefield. The rules of the primordial battlefield were only broken, but they still existed. The electrical elements came from outside the sky, and were weakened layer by layer. The closer they got to the ancient city of Divine Sha, the more they were weakened. Eventually, they formed an inverted pyramid shape. Since going to the sky was impossible, he could only seek answers in the ancient Thunder Tower. Now, he was the only one who could enter the ancient Thunder Tower. Outside the city of Divine Sha, all the professionals had already retreated. At this time, the Sea of Lightning had already enveloped most of the ancient city of Divine Sha and was still expanding. The power of the Sea of Lightning was not small, and none of the professionals present could resist it. Feng Yiming looked at the sky with a solemn expression. "Captain Feng, don't you even know what happened? Can the ancient city of Divine Sha return to normal in the future? Should we notify the military and let them send people to investigate? At least God-level powerhouses are qualified to investigate." Many professionals who knew Feng Yiming surrounded him and asked about the situation. Feng Yiming was also at a loss now and didn't know what had happened at all. He couldn't answer any of the questions others asked him. He also wanted to contact the military and ask God-level powerhouses to support him, but since the ancient Thunder Tower appeared automatically, all communications had been cut off. Feng Yiming suddenly realized something. Go and see if the teleportation array can still be used. Soon, his subordinates returned with information that all the teleportation arrays had become invalid. Feng Yiming's face turned ugly. If the teleportation arrays were invalid, even if a god-level powerhouse came, they would only be able to fly over, which would waste a lot of time. Originally, god-level powerhouses could not stay in the lower space for a long time. Moreover, Feng Yiming felt that even god-level powerhouses might not be able to find out anything. Fortunately, there was Lin Moyu. Now, he could only pray that Lin Moyu could find out the reason. Seeing that Feng Yiming didn't speak and his face became more and more ugly, everyone shut their mouths. Feng Yiming raised his head and stared at the sky, staring intently. The sky was full of lightning, dazzling and uncomfortable, but Feng Yiming endured it and didn't dare to relax for a moment. Now, all hope was pinned on Lin Moyu. But Lin Moyu hadn't returned for a long time, which also made him a little worried. The Sea of Lightning became stronger and stronger, completely enveloping the ancient city. Now, the ancient city was like a huge thunderball. If it exploded, I'm afraid that dozens of kilometers around would be razed to the ground. Everyone retreated again, only daring to watch from a distance. Feng Yiming also retreated 10 kilometers, but his eyes never left. Finally, he saw a figure flying down from the sky, covered in light and electricity, and drilling into the ancient city. The tightly locked brow also had a trace of relaxation. As long as Lin Moyu was fine, that would be good. Lin Moyu returned to the ancient city and went directly into the ancient Thunder Tower. There were not many people qualified to enter the ancient Thunder Tower, and in the current situation, only Lin Moyu could enter. Even if a high-level god like Meng Anwen came, he wouldn't be able to last long. The characteristic of electricity element immunity brought too much convenience to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu came to the core of the ancient Thunder Tower, which was the place to control the ancient Thunder Tower and even the entire ancient city of Divine Sha. The core of the ancient Thunder Tower had now turned into a thunderball, constantly emitting huge power. Lin Moyu ignored the lightning and placed his hand on the core. The last time he came here, Lin Moyu's soul was still very weak, and communication was very difficult. But this time, with a strong soul, he completed the connection with the core almost instantly. A large amount of information poured into his mind. He saw the complete process. First, a pair of giant hands appeared in the sky. The space was like a piece of cloth, torn apart by the giant hands. The torn area was not large, only about 10 kilometers, and the torn area was rapidly healing. The giant hands constantly released powerful power to fight against the power of space. The torn place happened to be facing the ancient city of Divine Sha. Then, a tower-shaped object appeared in the crack, and amazing electrical elements quickly poured towards the ancient city of Divine Sha. The electrical elements were like a chain, connecting the ancient city of Divine Sha. At the same time, there was a constant tearing force, as if to drag the ancient city of Divine Sha away. The earth was rumbling, and the ancient city of Divine Sha was constantly shaking, as if it was about to rise from the ground. After Lin Moyu watched this scene, he was shocked. This is to take away the ancient city of Divine Sha. From Lin Moyu's point of view, he naturally didn't want anyone to take away the ancient city of Divine Sha. The ancient city of Divine Sha is the foothold of the human race in the lower space, and there is a big difference between having it and not having it. Moreover, the ancient city of Divine Sha has been in the lower space for so long, even if this thing is yours, you can't just throw it away and pick it up again. At least you have to say hello. It's very impolite of you to do this. Lin Moyu said with a hint of displeasure, his voice slightly cold. He didn't care who was outside, he just took the interests of the human race as the primary starting point. The power of the soul rolled and began to control the core of the ancient Thunder Tower. Having had an operation experience once before, this time he was even more familiar with the road. Moreover, this time Lin Moyu's soul was stronger, his power was stronger, and he could exert even stronger power. A layer of shield rose from the ancient city of Divine Sha, separating the ancient city of Divine Sha from the lightning outside the city. The shield turned the ancient city of Divine Sha into an independent entity, cutting off contact with the outside world. The electrical elements from the outside could no longer enter, and the ancient thunder core began to quickly absorb the power of the electrical elements in the city. With this wave of operations, the ancient city of Divine Sha made a profit. But obviously the other party didn't give up and was still trying hard, trying to break the shield. Lin Moyu locked onto the giant hands that tore apart the space through the ancient thunder tower. God-slaying thunder. A ray of thunder shot out from the ancient god tower, which was obviously different from the electrical elements in the sky. The thunder light instantly crossed tens of thousands of meters of sky and landed on the giant hand. The giant hand exploded suddenly, and the torn space seemed to shrink a little. Effective. Lin Moyu used the god-slaying thunder again. Now, the divine lightning he unleashed was far more powerful than before. It even faintly contained the aura of the law. The giant hand tore through space, but always maintained a certain distance from the lightning element, clearly indicating it would also be injured by it. Lin Moyu attacked it precisely because of this. As long as the giant hand disappeared, everything would be over. The divine lightning continuously struck the giant hand, causing it to shrink rapidly. "You've gone too far," a voice suddenly echoed in Lin Moyu's mind, a sound of the soul. Then, lightning similarly descended from the sky, the lightning carrying a purple glow of immense power, piercing a hole in the ancient city's shield like tofu. The purple lightning struck the ancient thunder tower, directly reaching its core. Lin Moyu only felt a numbness in his body as the lightning drilled into him, appearing within his soul world. Soul attack. Warnings constantly rang out from his soul. Lin Moyu realized that the opponent wanted to kill him. Because he had disrupted the opponent's plan, the opponent wanted to kill him. A murderous intent rose in Lin Moyu's eyes, but killing him wouldn't be so easy. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal emitted a dragon's roar, first spraying out dragon breath to armor his soul, then directly colliding with the purple lightning. His soul trembled violently, and Lin Moyu's entire body shook and quivered. His soul suffered some tremors but was not injured. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal was quite effective. Lin Moyu continued to control the ancient thunder tower, constantly attacking the pair of giant hands with divine lightning. However, the opponent was clearly prepared, and the giant hands flashed with light, forming a defensive layer. The divine lightning could not break through the defensive layer. Lin Moyu and they were separated by more than 50,000 meters, a distance too far. Currently, apart from the divine lightning, all other means of attack were ineffective. Lin Moyu also couldn't leave the ancient thunder tower to go and fight them, that would be no different from courting death. Lin Moyu was perfectly clear that the opponent could tear through space, and was countless levels stronger than him. At that moment, Lin Moyu unhesitatingly took out Antares' dragon scale. Antares, someone wants to kill me. Lin Moyu's voice was urgent, calling out several times. A furious roar came from the dragon scale. Who wants to kill you? Antares was truly enraged, daring to kill his friend. They were really courting death. Lin Moyu said, I'm in the divine summer ancient stratum. Above my head, there's a guy who tore through space. Antares' gaze pierced through the void, instantly seeing everything. Hee, you've got guts. Antares' claws, hidden in the mist, moved slightly. Lin Moyu saw that in the place with the densest lightning sea, 50,000 meters in the air, a dragon claw suddenly appeared. The dragon claw passed through the lightning sea at an alarming speed, the lightning sea collapsing on the spot. Then, the dragon claw directly entered the rift, grabbing the tower-shaped object outside the rift. Lin Moyu heard a cry of alarm, the voice filled with terror. Scram, dare to come again, and I'll slaughter you all. Antares let out an angry roar, grabbing the tower-shaped object and retracting it, incidentally, lightly, touching the giant hands twice. The giant hands, like the lightning sea, collapsed on the spot. Space quickly returned to normal, and in the blink of an eye, everything was calm. Lin Moyu sincerely said to the dragon scale, thank you. Don't, I can't handle it. Antares said unpleasantly. Lin Moyu didn't mind, whether you can handle it or not, I still have to thank you. Antares snorted, hurry back, there's good stuff. After saying that, Antares cut off the connection. Lin Moyu felt a warmth in his heart. Whatever Antares called good stuff was definitely not ordinary. It should be that tower-shaped object. He had personally watched Antares grab it back. The lightning disappeared, and Lin Moyu also put away the shield, leaving the ancient thunder tower. The ancient thunder tower slowly sank back into the ground, and the divine summer ancient city returned to normal. Everything in the ancient city was as before, as if nothing had happened. Feng Yiming was the first to return. Divine General Lin, how is it? Lin Moyu glanced at him, it's nothing. Feng Yiming breathed a sigh of relief. Divine General Lin, what exactly happened just now? Lin Moyu thought about it, your level is still a bit low, you wouldn't understand even if I told you. Feng Yiming showed a bitter expression. This wasn't the first time he had heard these words. Lin Moyu also understood at this moment why Antares and the Kunlun great god didn't tell him about the events of that year. At the time, he had blamed them for being secretive, but now he seemed to have become like that too. Indeed, even if he told Feng Yiming, he probably wouldn't understand. Even if he understood, what could he do? It was better not to know. Lin Moyu said softly, if you want to know more, then quickly improve yourself. Feng Yiming naturally understood this principle. Thank you, Divine General Lin, for your help. It's what I should do. I'm leaving. After Lin Moyu finished speaking, he activated the dragon scale and disappeared without a trace. Feng Yiming let out a long sigh of relief, announcing that everything had returned to normal. The divine summer ancient city once again returned to its former appearance. This matter had no impact on ordinary professionals, they had only witnessed a rare spectacle. For Lin Moyu, it was indeed a good experience. This was his first true face-to-face encounter with a powerhouse from outside the world. Although he didn't know the opponent's true level, Lin Moyu once again realized that he wasn't strong enough, he needed to work hard, he needed to constantly become stronger. Antares looked at Lin Moyu, who had appeared before him, and teased, hey, as soon as you hear there's good stuff, you come flying over. You've gone bad. Lin Moyu shook his head and sighed softly. Antares unceremoniously replied, one takes on the color of one's company. Lin Moyu continued to retort, then why haven't I seen you take me over there? How can I take you? Take you to sleep with me? With your lifespan, one sleep in your entire life would be over. Antares was very disdainful. Lin Moyu didn't want to bother with this guy was strong, had a high level, and was a dragon, so his lifespan was naturally long. It was said that even the worst elemental dragon had a lifespan of tens of thousands of years. Anyway, he couldn't compare to that. Lin Moyu quickly changed the subject. What's the good stuff you were talking about? HMPH, asking the obvious. A small tower appeared in front of Lin Moyu. It was precisely the tower-shaped object he had seen through the ancient thunder tower before. At the time, it had scattered endless lightning, obscuring his vision, and Lin Moyu could only vaguely see its shape. So good now it seemed, it really was a small tower. Lin Moyu held the small tower slowly rotating above his palm, the tip of the tower faintly flashing with electric light. The more Lin Moyu looked at it, the more familiar it seemed. Isn't this the ancient thunder tower? The appearance of the small tower was exactly the same as the ancient thunder tower in Divine Summer Ancient City. It could be said to be 99% similar. Antares chuckled. Your eyes aren't blind yet, you actually saw through that. Lin Moyu ignored Antares. Hurry up and tell me, what's so good about this thing? Antares narrowed his eyes, pretending to be profound, and after a long deliberation, he uttered 2 words, guess. Lin Moyu directly smashed the small tower onto Antares. Guess your head, hurry up and tell me. Antares chuckled. Weren't you inside the ancient thunder tower of Divine Summer Ancient City? How did it feel to control it? Lin Moyu recalled his 2 experiences of controlling the ancient thunder tower. The god-slaying lightning is very powerful, but my strength is insufficient to unleash its full power. Antares snorted. How many levels are you at? You want to unleash the power of the god-slaying lightning, you're far from it. Any other feelings? Lin Moyu continued. Also, it's not flexible enough, the attack methods are too singular, and the defense is somewhat lacking. Chapter 659. You guys in this era are quite tragic. Lin Moyu listed several shortcomings of Divine Summer Ancient City. Indeed, Divine Summer Ancient City is very strong, but it also has many shortcomings. Antares' expression was slightly solemn. Actually, the shortcomings you mentioned don't exist. Don't exist? Lin Moyu was a little confused. Antares said, the Divine Summer Ancient City you saw is actually a crippled Divine Summer Ancient City. Divine Summer Ancient City is a rather good war weapon, it has another name. Antares clearly wanted to play coy, paused for 2 seconds, and slowly said, guess. Lin Moyu really wanted to give it a corpse explosion. Could it be that this guy has really been led astray by him? He glared at it fiercely, his fists clenched until they cracked. Antares chuckled. I won't tease you anymore, it has another name, God-Slaying Fortress. The God-Slaying here doesn't refer to so-called God-level experts. Lin Moyu was shocked and blurted out, is it transcendent gods? Antares shook his head slightly. Then you underestimate the God-Slaying Fortress too much, it refers to true gods. Lin Moyu was suddenly shocked, it was the first time he had heard of true gods. Obviously, true gods are existences even more powerful than transcendent gods. Antares continued, whether its gods or human race professionals, when they reach the level of transcendent god, they all converge to the same path and are called transcendent gods. And stronger than transcendent gods are true gods. God-Slaying Fortress refers to true gods. This is a war weapon that can slay true gods. Unfortunately, the Divine Summer Ancient City you saw was severely damaged in the war, leaving only a main body. Even after 1,000 years, it has only recovered about 10%. But even if it's only 10%, it's actually very good, it's just that UO90 can't unleash its power. Lin Moyu asked, how can I make it fully recover? Energy, massive energy. The God-Slaying Fortress has the ability to self-repair, as long as you give it enough energy. Antares was obviously extremely knowledgeable about the God-Slaying Fortress and gave the answer without hesitation. Divine Summer Ancient City, oh no, God-Slaying Fortress, has been in the lower space, constantly absorbing energy from the land of the primordial battlefield, maintaining it for 1,000 years and only recovering 10%. It can be seen how terrifying the energy it needs is. Lin Moyu asked, what about this small tower? Antares said, didn't you say that the God-Slaying Fortress isn't flexible enough? That's because it lacks this. The ancient Thunder Tower is the inner tower of the God-Slaying Fortress, possessing the core, and the small tower in your hand is the outer tower of the God-Slaying Fortress. Lin Moyu thought for a moment, are you saying that I can use this to control the God-Slaying Fortress? Antares' eyes lit up, you guessed it, that's right. You can integrate your soul imprint into it, and then connect it to the core of the ancient Thunder Tower. That way you can control the God-Slaying Fortress and play with it as you please. Of course, your current level is far from enough, don't even think about controlling the God-Slaying Fortress to fly around, even if you make it lift off the ground for a second, it will drain you dry. Lin Moyu thought about it, such a powerful tool, how could it be so easily controlled? Otherwise, he would be invincible. What abyss, dragon world, he could directly drive the god-slaying fortress and sweep through everything, who could stop him? But although he can't control the god-slaying fortress yet, it's still no problem to put a soul imprint on the outer core first. Antares said, there was originally another guy's soul imprint on it, but I've erased it, you can rest assured. Lin Moyu sincerely said, thank you. Antares raised his head proudly, small matter, no need to be so polite. Lin Moyu continued to ask, do you know who wanted to take the god-slaying fortress just now? Antares said, a little guy who just became a true god, don't bother with him. He won't dare to come again, otherwise I'll slap him to death. A true god can only be called a little guy in Antares' mouth. Lin Moyu had a new understanding of Antares' strength. He realized that he knew too little, even if he learned about what happened back then from the water god, he still knew nothing about true power. True gods are nothing in Antares' mouth, let alone transcendent gods. His goal was unknowingly pushed further away. Lin Moyu thought of what the old man had said, wanting him to become the guide of this world. It's estimated that transcendent god is not enough, even true god may not be enough, I don't know what level it needs to be at. The pursuit of power seems to have no limit. And in the face of powerful power, weakness is the original sin. Perhaps a great war between experts, a casual blow, can wipe you out. Just like humans casually stepping, they may step on many ants, no one cares about the life and death of the weak. If you don't want to be killed casually, you must be strong. Lin Moyu was silent for several seconds, and said word by word, I know about what happened back then. Antares was a little dazed, back then? Which year? What happened? Several question marks popped up. Antares had lived for too long, and couldn't figure out which back then Lin Moyu was talking about for a while. Lin Moyu said, back then, the desolate beasts and insect race invaded our world, the gods and human race professionals fought against them, the power of the world recovered, the gods fell, and the professionals were cut off. Antares widened his eyes, who told you? Lin Moyu said, water god, I awakened her. Woman. Antares sighed, seeming a little helpless, forget it, it's fine if you know. Lin Moyu continued, it's just that I don't understand some things. What else can't you understand? You clearly know the whole process, why didn't you tell me? Are you afraid that I would be hit? Am I that fragile? Antares shook his head, it's not fear, but there's no need to rush. What if I tell you earlier, what can you do? You can't do anything, can you? When your strength reaches a certain level, you will naturally know what you should know. Lin Moyu could understand Antares' words, he also encountered similar problems, and no longer struggled with this issue. He looked at Antares, and changed the subject, you definitely know who the mastermind behind the war was, but I know, you definitely won't tell me either. Then I want to ask, what's going on with the abyss demons and the dragon race? Doesn't righteous God tell me that even if a transcendent God is born in the human race, it is impossible to destroy them? Antares said, that Zhang Yi, he knows nothing. His limit in this life is half-step transcendent God, he will never be able to become a transcendent God. Where in the world are there guys who can't be destroyed? It just depends on whether you have enough strength. Even our dragon race has existences that cannot be provoked. Antares didn't say it clearly, but he also revealed a lot of information from it. Lin Moyu thought for a few seconds, in that case, if I have the strength of a transcendent god, can I destroy the abyss demons and the dragon race? Can't destroy. Antares very simply and certainly told Lin Moyu. Huh. Lin Moyu looked at it, waiting for an explanation. Antares said, transcendent god is not enough. When you reach true god, you can destroy them. Lin Moyu asked strangely, but the demon emperor and dragon emperor are only half-step transcendent god, it's very simple for a transcendent god to kill a half-step transcendent god, right? This is related to the world's laws, you will understand when you become a transcendent god, it's impossible to explain now. Laws, it's like a door, if you haven't entered the door, you will never know the situation inside the door. Lin Mo silently pondered, roughly understanding what Antares was saying. It's like telling a primitive man that there would be airplanes flying in the sky, trains carrying thousands of people, and cars running on four wheels in the future. The primitive man might not understand even after you've exhausted your explanation. But if the primitive man saw it with his own eyes, and experienced it himself, he would understand without needing to be told. Lin Mo was currently in such a state. He knew about laws, had come into contact with laws, could clearly sense the aura of laws, and could even distinguish the strength of laws. But asking him to wield the laws himself was impossible. Lin Mo hadn't even scratched the surface, he was far from it. He didn't continue to ask, even if he knew, what could he do? It would only add to his worries. Lin Mo began to imprint his soul mark on the outer core of the Godslayer fortress. This wasn't a short process, it required a long time to refine. The grade of the outer core was too high, surpassing even the mythic grade of this world. And Lin Mo's soul level was only level 92, barely qualified. Lin Mo initially imprinted his soul mark on it, establishing initial contact. Then he brought it into his soul world, slowly nurturing it to deepen the imprint. At this moment, Lin Mo heard Antares say, "Your era is quite tragic. It should have been a wonderful era, but it turned out like this. Luckily, I'm here, otherwise, hee." Lin Mo felt that Antares' laughter was a bit wretched, it was hard to describe its appearance. Then it shouted at Lin Mo again, "You brat, work harder, if you can't keep up when I want to kill back, I won't wait for you. Don't worry, I'll kill with you." Chapter 660. So there really is a Kunlun Divine Palace. Experiences are like cornerstones, constantly solidifying Lin Mo's beliefs. The stronger the enemy, the more determined Lin Mo's belief in becoming stronger. Ambition will not disappear, nor will it be suppressed. In fact, inside the Godslayer Fortress's Divine Summer Ancient City, as the teleportation array lit up, Meng Anwen and Feng Tianzong walked out at the same time. After the previous incident, Feng Yiming sent the news back to the army. The current head of the Feng family, the contemporary sword god Feng Tianzong, contacted Meng Anwen as soon as he received the news. The two went to the deep space, found the space-time channel leading to the lower space, and then used the teleportation advantage of the Divine Summer Tower to directly arrive at the Divine Summer Ancient City. They could stay in the Divine Summer Ancient City for about an hour without using their power. Feng Tianzong looked at the Divine Summer Tower that hadn't been put away, and praised, "Old Meng, why do I feel that your Divine Summer Tower is stronger than before?" Meng Anwen chuckled, "It is indeed a little stronger." Feng Tianzong's eyes were filled with envy, "That's right, you're already level 96, it's only natural that you've become stronger." Meng Anwen said, "You'll be there soon too." Feng Tianzong was very tall, and laughed loudly, "It's all thanks to your good student." Feng Tianzong's body also faintly revealed the aura of laws, he was already in contact with laws, and was not far from level 96. Feng Tianzong's eyes were filled with a hint of pride, the Feng family had passed down from generation to generation, and had never produced a high god. He would be the pioneer of the Feng family, destined to rewrite the history of the Feng family. Meng Anwen didn't say anything, he glanced at the Divine Summer Tower that belonged to him. The Divine Summer Tower had indeed become stronger, but the reason for its strengthening wasn't himself, but the Blood God Disc. Through analysis, learning, and imitation of the Blood God Disc, he finally found a way to further improve the Divine Summer Tower. And the large amount of quasi-legendary materials brought by Lin Mo, as well as some legendary-grade precious materials, were enough for him to upgrade the Divine Summer Tower. The Divine Grade Tower was expected to break through to the legendary grade and advance to mythic. All of this was brought by Lin Mo. Meng Anwen often said to Bai Yiyuan that the best thing he had done in his life was to accept Lin Mo as his disciple. Meng Anwen hadn't been to Divine Summer Ancient City for a long time, and his eyes were filled with a hint of nostalgia. Feng Tianzong said, "Do you still remember when we ventured and explored in the lower space, and almost died several times? After so many years, the ancient city seems to be even more lively than it was in our time." Meng Anwen said, "Indeed, with the Divine Summer Ancient City, our human race has a foothold in the lower space, which is much better. Moreover, the role of the Divine Summer Ancient City is not limited to this, our Divine Summer 3 towers are made by imitating the Ancient Thunder Tower." Feng Tianzong's eyes were strange, it's strange that they are all made by imitating the Ancient Thunder Tower, but the functions of the 3 towers are different. Meng Anwen shook his head, "I can't figure this out either. The Divine Summer 3 towers, the Trial Tower, the Divine Summer Tower, and the Demon Extinguishing Tower, were made by imitating the Ancient Thunder Tower. As a result, the effects of the 3 towers were different, but they were equally powerful, belonging to the legendary grade, and were the top equipment of the Divine Summer Empire. They didn't know the level of the Ancient Thunder Tower, and could only get a trace of its fur. But for Meng Anwen and others, it was completely enough. Feng Yiming rushed over and saluted the two of them. "Greetings, Patriarch, greetings, Divine N." Feng Yiming said, "We don't have much time, please explain the situation at that time clearly." Feng Yiming immediately explained the situation of that day, and after Meng Anwen finished listening, his figure flew towards the sky like a rocket. He flew very fast, with a layer of flowing aura draped over his body, the aura of laws. Meng Anwen comprehended the law of arrays. The law of arrays had thousands of transformations, and could be evolved into various shapes according to Meng Anwen's wishes, showing various effects. Now the law turned into wings, making Meng Anwen's speed like lightning. In just 1 second, Meng Anwen had appeared at an altitude of 50,000 meters, which was already the edge of the lower space. Going up further would touch the space barrier, and what was beyond the space was unknown. Meng Anwen had explored it once, and quickly returned in embarrassment. The outside space had violent turbulence, which was very terrible. At that time, he was almost torn apart by the violent space turbulence. 2 seconds after Meng Anwen arrived, Feng Tianzong also flew up. Looking at the speed alone, Feng Tianzong had already fallen far behind Meng Anwen. Feng Tianzong's eyes were filled with envy. This was the difference between level 95 and level 96. A difference of 1 level was a world of difference. Meng Anwen sensed here, this should be the starting point of the electric element. I can feel that there used to be a very amazing electric element here, and judging from the amount and power of the electric element, even if you and I came in, we would die. Feng Tianzong asked, then can you judge whether it was formed artificially or naturally? Meng Anwen's gaze fell on the space barrier. The space barrier had been completely repaired, and Meng Anwen couldn't see anything. After looking for a while, Meng Anwen shook his head. It's difficult to judge. Feng Tianzong said, according to Yiming, Divine General Lin was present at the time. Divine General Lin should know something, let's ask again. The two fell together, and Feng Tianzong asked Feng Yiming, what did Divine General Lin say at the time? Feng Yiming told the truth. Divine General Lin said that if I wanted to know more, I should improve myself quickly. He didn't embellish it, but just repeated Lin Mo's original words. Feng Tianzong said, it seems that Divine General Lin should know something. Meng Anwen nodded, I'll ask him later. Commander Feng, raise the ancient thunder tower. I'll go into the tower and take a look. Feng Yiming did so and raised the ancient thunder tower. Meng Anwen entered the tower, came to the core, and tried to communicate with the core. A few minutes later, Meng Anwen walked out of the tower again, and shook his head at Feng Tianzong. The core refuses to communicate with me. Feng Tianzong was slightly startled. Why? Meng Anwen shook his head. I don't know, Xiao Yu probably knows. Then okay, I can only ask Divine General Lin later. The two investigations yielded no results. However, from Feng Yiming's description, it could be felt that something strange must have happened at that time. Meng Anwen looked at the sky. I hope it's not a bad thing. AAA0 seeking fresh flowers. AAAAAAA. Kunlun Mountains, a millennium of wind and snow never ceases. Occasionally, a trace of sorrow is dyed into the wind and snow, as if a god is weeping. Some people even weave beautiful stories about it. Lin Mo Yu guessed that the inexplicable sorrow might be Kunlun Great God mourning his wife. Kunlun Great God's main body is asleep, his consciousness transformed into an elemental body. The more so, the more painful it is. If he really keeps sleeping, there will be no suffering. He misses his wife and has always wanted to find someone who can retrieve his holy sound God's divinity. But for thousands of years, he has not been able to find a suitable person. Lin Mo Yu could understand this kind of anxious and unwilling to forget feeling. Lin Mo Yu went up the mountain again. This time he walked very fast, almost running to the top. Some people saw him like this on the way, and many showed sneers. Running on Kunlun Peak, I am afraid the end will be very embarrassing. The closer to the top of the mountain, the greater the pressure. Most people are moving forward against the pressure. How can there be someone like Lin Mo Yu? Lin Mo Yu didn't care about the pressure, and went straight to the top of the mountain at the fastest speed. On the top of the mountain, he did not enter the instance, but took out the holy sound God's wind chime. The sound of the wind chime rang softly, and then quickly expanded in the wind and snow, spreading throughout the entire Kunlun mountain in the blink of an eye. In the garrison, all professionals heard the sound of the wind chime. Where did the wind chime sound come from? It sounds so good, like a song. Why am I full of fighting spirit? I really want to enter the instance immediately and fight the monsters. No, I hear some sadness in the sound of the wind chime, I feel a little sad. Everyone was talking about it, feeling very surprised. Everyone's feelings about hearing the wind chime are different. Lin Mo Yu just shook the wind chime, and the sound it made was just an ordinary sound, not the sound of the soul. 1,000 people have 1,000 sounds, and 1,000 people will have 1,000 feelings when they hear the wind chime. People who are passionate and decisive will be full of fighting spirit when they hear it. Cowardly people will be afraid when they hear it. People who have sorrow in their hearts will be full of sorrow when they hear it. People with soft hearts will pity everything when they hear it. Suddenly someone pointed to the top of Kunlun Peak. Look, there is a palace on the top of the mountain. In the eyes of everyone, a beautiful palace appeared on the top of Kunlun Peak. Kunlun Shrine appeared in the clouds. The wind and snow that had been non-stop for thousands of years stopped abruptly, and thousands of rays of light sprinkled in the air, draped over the Kunlun Shrine, which was magnificent. Everyone was stunned. This was a scene they had never seen before. It turns out that there really is a shrine on Kunlun Peak. Kunlun Shrine. It's Kunlun Shrine. There really is Kunlun Shrine. The legend is actually true. The legend says that gods live in Kunlun Shrine. I really want to go up and take a look. The professionals marveled. Then they saw that someone flew into the Kunlun Shrine, and they were even more shocked. Suddenly, Kunlun Mountain shook. Countless professionals are rushing upwards, wanting to enter Kunlun Shrine.